Chapter 1387, Disciple of a Half-Martial Ancestor. Chapter 1387, Disciple of a Half-Martial Ancestor. The Baiming clan leader looked at Baiming Shui and her brother. I'm already old. From now on, the Baiming clan will have to rely on the two of you. You guys can make the decision for this matter. I won't stay in the family clan either. Baiming Shui shook her head gently. My Dao cannot be found here. Little brother, make the decision. Su Zimo felt slightly relieved when he heard that. Baiming Shui cultivated the martial Dao. Her world was the boundless cultivation world that contained countless secret opportunities outside, not this puny Baiming town. If Baiming Shui were to stay in Baiming town to develop her family, no matter how talented she was, her attainments in the martial Dao would be limited. Sister, I'm still young. Please stay and help me. Baiming Ao could not help but say reluctantly. He was only 15 years old after all. It was indeed a little cruel for him to bear the burden of reviving his family clan. A hesitant look flashed through Baiming Shui's eyes as well. But soon, she made up her mind to leave Baiming town and explore the cultivation world. The Baiming clan was nearly annihilated today. The reason why the crisis was able to be resolved today was because of her master's powerful combat strength. No matter how large the family clan was or how many clansmen there were, without top-tier experts, it was inevitable that the clan would be annihilated. Therefore, it was better for Baiming Shui to head out to train and grow rapidly rather than stay in Baiming town. If she could cultivate to the conjoint body or Mahayana realm, as long as she was alive, there would come a day where the Baiming aristocratic family could exist without danger. The siblings exchanged glances and understood each other's intentions without saying anything more. Baiming Shui said gently, "Little brother, you've already grown up. No matter what decision you make, I'll support you." All right. Baiming Ao grit his teeth. Since that's the case, I've decided to join forces with the Nangong aristocratic family. We'll write off our past grudges and share the divine spring. Nangong Ling and the others were delighted and heaved a sigh of relief. This was undoubtedly the best situation for the two aristocratic families. Even Elder Lan Tian nodded slightly and looked at Baiming Ao with admiration. Prior to this, the three aristocratic families bullied the Baiming aristocratic family and snatched their cultivation techniques, secret skills, treasures, and resources. This was a feud that had lasted for many years. At such a young age, Baiming Ao was already able to let go of these grudges for the sake of his family clan. With such a broad perspective, he was already starting to possess the bearing of a family master. He's also a good seedling, Elder Lan Tian muttered internally. Everyone was shocked by Baiming Shui's talent, but Baiming Ao was not weak either. After all, he was able to form a core at just 15 years old by relying on some inferior cultivation techniques and limited resources. Furthermore, he could even condense a golden core phenomenon that was already beyond most paragons. Su Zimo looked at Elder Lan Tian and said indifferently, "Fellow Taoist Lan Tian, if the Baiming clan is willing to let go of their past grudges and share the divine spring with the Nangong aristocratic family, the Nangong family should express a gesture of goodwill as well, right?" The term fellow Taoist was used to refer to people of similar cultivation realms or statuses. However, Su Zimo was only at the conjoint body realm and Elder Lan Tian was a half-martial ancestor. Yet, Elder Lan Tian was not displeased in the slightest when he heard the words, fellow Taoist. Desolate Martial had just killed two half-martial ancestors. What was wrong with him using the term fellow Taoist? Elder Lan Tian was pondering over a thought in his mind. When he heard that, he made a decision right away. Narrowing his gaze, he looked at Baiming Ao and chuckled. "I'm still lacking a personal disciple. If you don't mind, I might be able to teach you a few things." A half-martial ancestor was taking in a disciple. This was a huge matter. Even the cultivators of the Nangong aristocratic family revealed looks of envy, let alone the Baiming clansmen. Baiming Shui was delighted as well. With that identity, no one would dare to lay their hands on Baiming Ao anymore. Anyone who dared to provoke a disciple of a half-martial ancestor would have to endure the wrath of a half-martial ancestor. Desolate Marshall's influence was way too great. Many cultivators were secretly alarmed. Actually, even without Su Zimo's reminder, Elder Lan Tian had already thought of taking in a disciple. "Little brother, hurry and greet your master," Bai Ming Shui reminded. Bai Ming Ao ran to Elder Lan Tian hurriedly and knelt down respectfully to greet his master. "Well said, well said." Elder Lan Tian helped Bai Ming Ao up with a smile. "Nangongli, the two of you should hang out more in the future," Elder Lan Tian said to Nangongli. Nangongli smiled bitterly in his heart. As the master of the Nangong aristocratic family and a conjoint body mighty figure, he had lived for close to 10,000 years. However, because of a single sentence from Elder Lan Tian, his seniority was now on par with a 15-year-old child like Bai Ming Ao. "Brother, Bai Ming." Nangongli cupped his fists towards Bai Ming Ao and coughed gently. It was truly a strange sight to witness him addressing a 15-year-old as brothers. "Fellow Taoist Desolate Marshal, what plans do you have in the future?" Elder Lan Tian turned to Su Zimo and asked. Before long, today's events would spread through the cultivation world. Every single action of Desolate Marshal in the cultivation world would always attract countless gazes. "I might continue my stay in the South region for a period of time." Su Zimo had something else in mind and replied vaguely without elaborating. Elder Lan Tian said, "If you encounter any difficulties, you can send a message to the Nangong family too. If it's within our capabilities, we'll definitely do our best to help." In truth, those were just pleasantries. If Su Zimo were to fight against the Dongfang and Shimin aristocratic families, the Nangong aristocratic family would definitely not attack. "If there's nothing else, everyone, please disperse first," Su Zimo said. "This will be an important place protected by the Nangong and Bai Ming aristocratic families, and in the future, nobody will be allowed to step in casually. I will stay here for a few days. If there's anything, you can inform me from outside." He was chasing them away. Elder Lan Tian and the others left tactfully as well. "Sister," Bai Ming Ao called softly and wanted to walk over. However, Bai Ming Shui shook her head. "Little brother, leave this place with our clansmen first as well. Don't come down without my orders." "Ah." Bai Ming Ao was stunned for a moment. Although he was filled with questions, he chose to listen to Bai Ming Shui and left the hall with his Bai Ming clansmen. Before long, Su Zimo and Bai Ming Shui were the only ones left in the hall. There were also many corpses and flesh strewn all over the ground. "Master, is there anything?" Bai Ming Shui whispered. Su Zimo nodded. "There's indeed something." When she saw Su Zimo chasing everyone else away, she could vaguely guess that her master was hiding something that he did not wish for them to know about. It was something that had to be hidden from even the Bai Ming clansmen, let alone the Nangong family. What was it exactly? Right then, there was a swoosh. The divine spring beside them sounded, and a gigantic stone flew out from the golden pool, rolling on the ground. The patterns on the surface of the gigantic rock surged with two extreme auras, and they weaved together to form a devouring power, as though they were sucking the blood and flesh of the place in huge mouthfuls. Chapter 1388, Troublesome. Chapter 1388, Troublesome. This is... Bai Ming Shui was shocked. Earlier on, when Su Zimo fought against many mighty figures, she sensed the existence of the stone while hiding in the primordial divine spring. But now that the stone popped out and rolled on the ground, she was caught off guard. "It's alive?" Bai Ming Shui could not help but ask when she saw that Su Zimo was not surprised. "Yes." Su Zimo nodded and looked at the oval-shaped stone, saying slowly, "This is the true secret guarded by the Bai Ming clan, not the primordial divine spring." Bai Ming Shui was shocked and dumbfounded when she heard that. She had not expected that the secret guarded by the Bai Ming clan would not be a universal utmost treasure like the primordial divine spring, but a strange stone. She was smart and reacted right away. Her master did not tell her the secret previously. Instead, he told her after everyone left. It must be an important matter. Bai Ming Shui stared at the gigantic stone for a while and frowned slightly. She could not help but ask, "Is that an egg?" Su Zimo did not reply and asked instead, "Have you heard of a primordial taboo?" "I've heard about it before," Bai Ming Shui said. "I only found out about it after the news of the battle at Heaven and Earth Valley. In the primordial era, there was an extremely terrifying and powerful life form known as the primordial taboo. That demon beast at your side was a primordial taboo, right?" "Yes." Su Zimo nodded. "Night spirit is a Ho, one of the taboos." "One of the taboos." Bai Ming Shui was stunned for a moment and asked, "The primordial taboo isn't a race?" Su Zimo said, "In the primordial era, there were 3 major taboos. The Ho was only one of them. The other 2 taboos were the Dragon Phoenix and Kuren Pong." Bai Ming Shui was in deep thought. A moment later, her eyes lit up and she suddenly asked, "Master, are you saying that this gigantic egg has a primordial taboo within?" "If I'm not wrong, this should be a Kuren Pong egg," Su Zimo replied. "Ah!" Bai Ming Shui exclaimed. How strong were primordial taboos? Even the primordial 9 races were extremely wary of it. In fact, they even mobilized a large force to kill Night Spirit before he could grow further. Bai Ming Shui had not expected that her ancestors were guarding such a shocking secret. Su Zimo said, "The reason why I didn't tell anyone about this was because the secret was way too huge. If news of the primordial divine spring is spread, the Nangong aristocratic family might be able to defend this divine spring with their strength. However, if the news of the Kuren Pong egg is spread, even the 3 aristocratic families combined might not be able to defend it, let alone the Nangong aristocratic family." Actually, this secret was a curse rather than a blessing for the Bai Ming clan. That was the reason why the Bai Ming clan's ancestors were so cautious. Su Zimo said, "The reason why I asked others to leave was firstly because I wanted to talk to you about this. Secondly, this Kuren Pong egg is extremely sentient. As you can see, it's devouring the flesh and essence energy. In fact, it could sense the danger outside and did not expose itself beforehand. It only came out when I asked the others to leave." Bai Ming Shui nodded. Although the Kuren Pong had not hatched yet, it had already displayed extraordinary intelligence. "How should we handle this?" Bai Ming Shui frowned slightly and asked. Su Zimo shook his head as well. After pondering for a moment, he said, "We'll wait and see what happens after the Kuren Pong egg absorbs the flesh and essence energy. That's the only way." Bai Ming Shui nodded. Right then, her heart skipped a beat, as though she sensed an opportunity. "Master, I might be able to break through soon," Bai Ming Shui said. Actually, when cultivating the martial Dao, one could attempt a breakthrough upon condensation of a blood qi golden core. The reason why Su Zimo wanted Bai Ming Shui to continue cultivating was because he wanted her to establish a perfect foundation so that she could head further on the path of cultivation in the future. That was because no one understood the martial Dao better than him. The martial Dao prime body cultivated dragon elephant force, and after his breakthrough, his essence spirit even derived a martial spirit fire that was extremely powerful. "Do it here, then." Su Zimo nodded and pointed to the primordial divine spring. Bai Ming Shui had long reached the realm of breakthrough. Now, after watching a battle between mighty figures, her heart was moved and she finally sensed the opportunity for her essence spirit. She entered the golden pool and assumed a lotus position to attempt a breakthrough. Su Zimo stood guard at the entrance of the hall. It was not only to protect Bai Ming Shui, it was also to protect the Kuren Pong egg and not let outsiders see it. Time slowly passed. In the blink of an eye, an entire day had passed. Suddenly, Bai Ming Shui shuddered and her aura rose continuously, as though some shackles had been broken. In fact, an extremely sharp beam of light shone from her body. Su Zimo's expression changed as he nodded slightly. "Not bad, not bad." Bai Ming Shui had broken through and entered the martial spirit realm. That was the nascent soul realm of the immortal, Buddhist, and fiend Das. Not only that, Bai Ming Shui's martial spirit first transformed into a sharp sword before transforming into its true form. There were many different types of martial spirits. Su Zimo's martial spirit was derived from flames. As for Bai Ming Shui, she derived the sword. If nothing went wrong, Bai Ming-Xue's comprehension of the Tao of the sword would definitely surpass others in her future cultivation. With the help of such a martial spirit, Bai Ming-Xue's sword Tao would definitely be extremely terrifying as well. Another 2 hours passed before Bai Ming-Xue's aura gradually stabilized. Bai Ming-Xue opened her eyes and could not help but smile when she sensed the changes in her body. "Master, I succeeded." "Yes?" Su Zimo nodded. Right then, the Kuan Pong egg at the side stopped as well. It had already devoured all the flesh on the ground. Even so, the Kuan Pong showed no signs of hatching. The flesh in this hall were all conjoint body mighty figures, and even half-martial ancestor experts. That massive amount of flesh and blood essence had not managed to hatch the Kuan Pong. The power of the Kuan Pong was way too terrifying. Su Zimo was secretly shocked. By the looks of it, this taboo was truly troublesome to deal with. Even super sects might not be able to hatch this Kuan Pong, let alone him. Even if it was hatched, the Kuan Peng's appetite would be enough to devour 1 or 2 super sects. It was indeed not a coincidence that the taboo race was rare. If there were a few more Kuan Pong that expended such a massive amount of resources, the entire Tianhuang mainland would be exhausted. As Su Zimo pondered, the Kuan Pong egg hopped and came to his side, rubbing against his arm in an extremely intimate manner. Bai Ming-Xue walked out of the primordial divine spring. The Kuan Pong egg rolled to Bai Ming-Xue's feet and circled around her. Although it could not hatch after devouring so much flesh, the Kuan Pong egg was clearly extremely happy as well. Chapter 1389, Carefree. Chapter 1389, Carefree. "Master, what should we do?" Bai Ming-Xue was worried. Firstly, the Kuan Pong egg's devouring prowess was so powerful that even super sects would have difficulty hatching it, let alone Bai Ming-Xue. Secondly, once the Kuan Pong egg was exposed, the Bai Ming aristocratic family would be doomed. Su Zimo pondered in silence. There was no way he could carry the Kuan Pong egg with him either. Firstly, he did not have that many treasures, flesh, and essences to hatch the Kuan Pong egg. Secondly, he had other important matters to attend to and could not focus on the Kuan Pong egg. Right then, Su Zimo's heart skipped a beat as he thought of a solution. In the extreme north of Tianhuang mainland, there was an ocean that was frozen all year round, known as the North Sea. In the North Sea, there was an extremely vast inner sea, Baiming, one of the 9 forbidden grounds of Tianhuang mainland. That forbidden ground was the habitat of one of the primordial 9 races, the Kuan race. If this Kuan Pong egg was thrown into Baiming, the Kuan race would definitely do their best to hatch it. Furthermore, they would ensure its growth with all their might. The significance of the Kuan Pong to the Kuan race was similar to the Dragon Phoenix to the Dragon race. Baiming had existed since the primordial era and countless treasures and cultivation resources were buried there. Just the North Sea alone contained countless living experts. In Tianhuang mainland, there were 3 oceans, 4 regions, and 1 continent. The surface area of an ocean was far larger than the 4 regions and continent. There were even many different species of living beings contained within. In fact, there were many powerful primordial life forms. The Kuan Pong would have only truly returned to its own world after returning to Baiming. There, the Kuan Pong could definitely be hatched. Furthermore, with a massive backing like the Kuan race, there would be an endless stream of cultivation resources. There, the Kuan Pong would also grow rapidly. There wouldn't be any danger as long as the Kuan race hid that secret well. It could be said that Baiming was an almost perfect place for the Kuan Pong. Of course, there were some risks associated. Taboos were not ordinary living beings after all. Now that the Kuan Pong egg was awakened by his bloodline, it was extremely close to him. At the same time, because the Baiming clan protected it, the Kuan Pong egg became extremely close to Bai Ming-Xue upon sensing her bloodline as well. However, if it was thrown into Baiming, its connection with Su Zimo and Bai Ming-Xue would be severed completely. Without them by its side in that sort of environment, the Kuan Pong would most likely not have any feelings towards them after many years when it truly grew up. In the eyes of the Kuan race, humans were all ants. That thought would be amplified in the eyes of the Kuan Pong, who was a taboo. Nobody knew what the Kuan Pong would be like after it grew up. After a moment of silence, Su Zimo looked at the Kuan Pong egg before him and said in a deep voice, I can take you to a place where you can grow rapidly. However, neither the Baiming clan nor I will be by your side. The Kuan Pong egg swayed immediately, seemingly unwilling. Go on. I won't be able to protect you if you're by my side. Baiming Shui smiled and patted the Kuan Pong egg gently. The Kuan Pong egg was still unwilling and rubbed itself intimately against Su Zimo and Baiming Shui. After a while, as though it recalled something, the Kuan Pong egg suddenly rolled in front of Su Zimo and leaned forward step by step as though it was bowing. Su Zimo burst into laughter and shook his head gently. What are you doing? Are you acknowledging a master? That was merely a casual remark of his. Unexpectedly, the Kuan Pong egg jumped up from its spot and hopped as though Su Zimo had hit the nail on the head. How smart! Baiming Shui could not help but praise. This Kuan Pong had yet to hatch, and yet an egg possessed such intelligence. Master, why don't you take him in? Baiming Shui smiled as well. The talent of a primordial taboo definitely surpasses mine. It's definitely qualified to be your disciple. Accepting a primordial taboo as a disciple? If word of this were to spread, it would cause an uproar. What was a primordial taboo? Who was qualified to be a taboo's master? Furthermore, for primordial taboos, outsiders would want nothing more than to avoid them. Who would take the initiative to invite trouble and implicate themselves? However, Su Zimo had no qualms towards such things. Including the Kuan Pong, the three primordial taboos were more or less related to him. Furthermore, it might not be a curse to take the Kuan Pong as his disciple. Master, please accept him. Baiming Shui was truly fond of this Kuan Pong and revealed a rare look of a woman. She wheedled slightly. I'm the eldest disciple. It can't be better having a junior brother or junior sister. Su Zimo did not reply and looked at the Kuan Pong egg not far away. The matter of acknowledging a master is no small matter. Are you serious? The Kuan Pong egg hopped twice on the spot to express its seriousness. Baiming Shui covered her mouth and laughed when she saw that. Su Zimo said, Since that's the case, I'll take you in as my disciple. Baiming Shui is your eldest senior sister. My name is Su Zimo and my Dao title is Desolate Marshal. Remember that. The Kuan Pong egg looked excited and bowed repeatedly. Master, he doesn't have a name yet, Baiming Shui reminded. After pondering for a moment, Su Zimo said, Since that's the case, I'll give you a name, Carefree. I hope that you'll be able to lead a carefree life in the future without any restraints and smile at the world. The word carefree was a manifestation of the Kuan Peng's capabilities as well as Su Zimo's hope for it. Carefree, carefree. Baiming Shui murmured softly and patted the Kuan Pong egg with a smile. From now on, you'll have a name. Your name is Carefree. Upon hearing that name, the Kuan Pong egg was extremely excited as well. With a skip, it even closed into Su Zimo and rubbed against him. Don't try that with me. Su Zimo smiled gently and pushed the Kuan Pong egg away. Since you acknowledge me as your master, all the more I have to send you to Baiming. Baiming was the best place for Carefree. Previously, Su Zimo was still hesitant. But now that Carefree was his disciple, he had to send Carefree over no matter what would happen to the latter in the future. Baiming was the only place where Carefree could grow up safely. Upon hearing Su Zimo's words, the Kuan Pong egg felt a little disappointed. According to his master, if he were to head to that place called Baiming, he would have to leave his master and senior sister. The first person he saw when he woke up was Su Zimo and Baiming Shui. Furthermore, due to his bloodline, he had an indescribable sense of familiarity towards the two of them. But now, the three of them were forced to separate. Master, Baiming is in the extreme north of Tianhuang mainland and is millions of kilometers away from here. When are you going to move? Baiming Shui asked. I have other matters to attend to and won't be returning to the north region for the time being. Su Zimo said, The other me will take Carefree to Baiming. The other you? Baiming Shui was stunned for a moment, not understanding. Right then, a person walked in from outside the hall. That person wore a purple Taoist robe and his black hair draped over his shoulders. He had refined features and looked exactly the same as Su Zimo. Chapter 1390, Carefree's Fear. Chapter 1390, Carefree's Fear. This is... Bai Ming-Xue was dumbfounded as she sized up the purple-robed cultivator and Su Zimo in shock. Apart from the difference in his robes, the purple-robed cultivator truly looked identical to her master. However, Bai Ming-Xue could vaguely sense that this purple-robed cultivator was different. It was an indescribable feeling. Everyone thinks that I have two true bodies, but that's not the case. Su Zimo pointed at the purple-robed cultivator who walked in and said indifferently, "This is my third true body." The intruder was none other than Su Zimo's martial Dao prime body. Actually, a year ago, Su Zimo had already summoned the martial Dao prime body over. At that time, the essence spirit of the Green Lotus true body was damaged. The aristocratic family competition was about to begin and Su Zimo was worried that something might happen that might provoke some top-tier experts. The dragon true body was in seclusion in the South Sea, and it was not convenient to alarm him. The only one who could help was the martial Dao prime body. That was the reason why Su Zimo was not worried even if his Green Lotus true body had not recovered with the nourishment of the primordial divine spring and advanced to the conjoint body realm. As long as his martial Dao prime body rushed over, even if he could not defeat the experts of the two aristocratic families, he could take out the damaged teleportation formation and leave with his Green Lotus true body and Bai Ming-Xue. That was Su Zimo's original plan. However, later on, the secret of the Bai Ming aristocratic family was exposed and the Green Lotus true body obtained a huge opportunity as well. He underwent a complete transformation and killed 2 half-martial ancestors and more than 30 conjoint body mighty figures. When the martial Dao prime body sensed the situation here, he did not reveal himself. It was only now that the martial Dao prime body appeared. "Master, this clone is similar to you, right?" Bai Ming-Xue gradually understood. Su Zimo nodded and did not explain further. Bai Ming-Xue looked at her martial Dao prime body and could not help but ask, "Master, what's the cultivation of your clone?" "Early-stage Dharma characteristic realm." Su Zimo replied. The martial Dao prime body had already cultivated for more than 100 years. That cultivation speed was already extremely terrifying. The martial Dao furnace could smelt all sorts of sutras and had absorbed all the secret skills and cultivation techniques obtained by his 2 true bodies over the years. As such, his cultivation naturally advanced by leaps and bounds. "Early-stage Dharma characteristic realm," Bai Ming-Xue murmured softly. It was only logical that the cultivation of the clone was lower. However, for some reason, Bai Ming-Xue could feel an indescribable pressure against her master's martial Dao true body. She shook her head and did not think too much about it. "Junior brother, why did you quiet him down?" Bai Ming-Xue glanced sideways at the Kuan Peng egg at the side and smiled, asking casually, "Can't bear to leave me?" Initially, the Kuan Peng egg was extremely excited. However, for some unknown reason, it suddenly quietened down after the martial Dao prime body entered. The Kuan Peng egg did not move. If it was earlier on, the Kuan Peng egg would have bounced around to express its emotions. The eyes of the martial Dao prime body were clear as he shifted his gaze to the Kuan Peng egg. Waving his hand, he said, "Come over. I'll take you away." The Kuan Peng egg did not advance. Instead, it retreated, as though it was trying to dodge. "What's wrong? Head over." Bai Ming-Xue smiled and pushed the Kuan Peng egg in the direction of the martial Dao prime body. Not only did Bai Ming-Xue fail to push the Kuan Peng egg with a swoosh, it even hid behind her as though it was frightened. This time round, even Su Zimo noticed something unusual. It was not that the Kuan Peng egg did not want to leave. The egg was in fear. To be precise, the Kuan Peng egg was afraid of the martial Dao prime body and did not even dare to close in. "That's my master's clone. What are you afraid of?" Bai Ming-Xue smiled and patted the Kuan Peng egg gently. The Kuan Peng egg did not dare to advance still. Bai Ming Shui could clearly sense the gigantic Kuan Peng egg trembling beneath her palm. What happened? She was a little stunned. It seemed like the Kuan Peng egg harbored a deep fear towards the martial Dao prime body. However, how could this be? According to her master, that was only a clone of his. Furthermore, it was only at the Dharma characteristic realm. How could the Kuan Peng, one of the three great taboos, be frightened so badly? Furthermore, the Kuan Peng egg was extremely intimate with Su Zimo's green lotus true body and would even circle and rub against him from time to time. However, in the face of the martial Dao prime body, the Kuan Peng egg was shivering in fear. When he saw that, Su Zimo sighed internally. As expected of the three great taboos, to think that it would be so sharp even before it's born. The martial Dao prime body had never attacked before. Almost no one knew of his existence. Therefore, no one knew better than Su Zimo how terrifying the martial Dao prime body was. This was a variant that was beyond the 3 realms and 5 elements. Back when the martial Dao prime body was just born, even Patriarch Yuan Bei, who was at the Mahayana realm, could not see through the fate of the martial Dao prime body with his heart-piercing divine power. It did not mean that the current martial Dao prime body was stronger than the green lotus true body. It was because the Kuan Peng egg had not hatched and did not possess the 5 senses such as sight and hearing. It merely relied on an innate spirit perception to sense the outside world. In his senses, the green lotus true body was like a jade green lotus that emitted a resplendent glow with immense vitality. Furthermore, he had once absorbed the bloodline of the green lotus true body and naturally had no resistance towards it. However, it was different for the martial Dao prime body. The martial Dao prime body cultivated his body and used his true body as a furnace to nurture all the sutras as one infused them with his body. His physique and countless sutras were constantly smelted by the martial spirit fire. To the Kuan Peng egg, the martial Dao prime body was like a gigantic furnace that emitted a destructive aura as though it could smelt everything in the world. Even it would not be spared. Naturally, it was fearful and did not dare to approach. Carefree, follow him. Finally, Su Zimo spoke. He is me and I am him. There's no difference between us and he will definitely not hurt you. At that point, the Kuan Peng egg finally relaxed slightly. The gigantic egg moved slowly towards the martial Dao prime body at an extremely slow speed. It was clear that it was displeased. The Kuan Peng egg paced around reluctantly. Although it was not hatched yet, it could vaguely guess that after this farewell, it would have to wait a long time before it could reunite with its master and senior sister again. It's fine, you have to grow faster. We'll meet again. Bai Ming Shui could vaguely sense what was on the Kuan Peng egg's mind and consoled it gently. That Kuan Peng egg was not only her junior brother, but also the secret that the Bai Ming aristocratic family had protected for countless years. Naturally, Bai Ming Shui had feelings towards Carefree. A long time later, the Kuan Peng egg finally arrived before the martial Dao prime body. Without another word, the martial Dao prime body waved his sleeves and swept up the gigantic Kuan Peng egg. Turning to leave, he disappeared from the hall in the blink of an eye. Chapter 1391, Greater Mastery of the Saber Technique. Chapter 1391, Greater Mastery of the Saber Technique. After the martial Dao prime body left with Carefree, Su Zimo and Bai Ming Shui were the only ones left in the hall. Without Carefree, the hall fell silent. Bai Ming Shui lowered her head slightly with a faint hint of sorrow in her eyes. After a moment, she finally said, "Master, you're about to leave, right?" "Yes." Su Zimo nodded and did not hide anything. "You've already cultivated to the nascent soul realm. It's time for you to head out and train yourself in the cultivation world." Bai Ming Shui remained silent. She also knew in her heart that her master could not be by her side the entire time, protecting her from all dangers as she grew. However, that was a wish she had nevertheless. Even if her cultivation did not advance at all, she hoped that her master would always be by her side, guarding and protecting her. Bai Ming Shui took a deep breath and composed herself before long. She put away the thoughts in her mind and said, "All right, I'll take a look at the cultivation world outside right away. Don't worry, Master. I'll definitely not embarrass you." Before long, today's events would spread through the entire cultivation world. At that time, all the cultivators in the world would know that she was Desolate Marshal's eldest disciple. At that time, there might be dangers and challenges awaiting her. All of those would become the foundation for her to temper her martial Tao. "Where are you intending to go, Master?" Baiming Shui asked again. "Since I'm in the South region, I intend to meet an old friend." The voice of the little monk flashed through Su Zimo's mind as he murmured, "It's been a long time since I've received any news of him. I'm worried." "You have to raise your cultivation as soon as possible. There will probably be many calamities in Tianhuang mainland in the future. Without immense strength, you might even die, let alone protect your family clan." Su Zimo reminded again. His worries were not unfounded. All signs indicated that Tianhuang mainland was about to descend into chaos. A massive change was about to happen. This change was extremely likely to sweep through the entire Tianhuang mainland, and no sect, faction, or race would be spared. In the depths of the South Sea, the sea possessed a massive amount of living beings that far surpassed the land. The resources in the sea were extremely rich, and countless experts were born. There were 8 demon regions in Tianhuang mainland, and 3 of them were the East, South, and North Seas. The sea contained countless secrets. It was said that among the 3 seas, there were the most number of primordial ruins, and they were the most intact. The depths of the sea could reach hundreds of thousands of meters. There were not many living beings at the bottom of the sea anymore. That was because as the depths of the sea increased, the pressure around the seawater increased as well. Without a conjoint body realm cultivation, one would not be able to survive in the depths of the sea. At that moment, a figure sat at the bottom of the dark sea in the South Sea. The figure had shoulder-length scarlet hair that burned like flames and did not show any signs of extinguishing even in the depths of the sea. The Dragon True Body. Although the Dragon True Body was still at the Dharma characteristic realm, he could still survive in the deep oceans with his body and bloodline. After receiving the guidance of a mysterious expert, the Dragon True Body dived into the depths of the sea and cultivated the Sea Calming Manual. The Dragon True Body could survive at the bottom of the sea. However, that did not mean that he could move freely at the bottom of the sea. Even with his physique and bloodline, he could still feel an extremely terrifying pressure at the bottom of the sea. Every single action required hundreds of times more energy than on land. When he used his saber underwater, the water pressure would cause every single slash to become extremely slow and difficult. Despite the circumstances, the Dragon True Body gritted his teeth and cultivated continuously. After 3 years of cultivation, the comprehension of the Dragon True Body on the Tao of the Saber deepened. He had finally comprehended the profound meaning of sea calming. Without seeing the sea personally, one would never be able to comprehend the true essence of the Sea Calming Manual. Without experiencing the raging tides of the sea personally, one would never be able to experience the power of sea calming. For the past 3 years, the cultivation of his Dragon True Body was still at the Dharma characteristic realm and had not broken through. However, in terms of the Tao of the Saber, he had a new understanding. This day, the Dragon True Body cultivated at the bottom of the sea with his eyes closed and constantly retracted his saber. All of a sudden, the Dragon True Body opened his eyes. It was as though 2 divine lights burst forth from the dark depths of the sea, illuminating it. Under the illumination of the divine light, the Dragon True Body could clearly see that 3 faint figures were charging towards him along the undercurrent with a murderous intent. They were hostile. The 3 of them were extremely fast and arrived before him in the blink of an eye. 3 mighty figures. With a single sweep of his spirit consciousness, the Dragon True Body could sense that all 3 figures were at the conjoint body realm. A look of mockery flashed through the eyes of the Dragon True Body. Without seeing what the Dragon True Body did, his spirit consciousness moved and the saber on his knees suddenly bounced into his palm. The Dragon True Body had an indifferent expression as he gripped the Dragon Soul Saber and slashed forward. that sliced air completely and nobody was struck. The three figures that were charging over were delighted. Seems like this person doesn't have any tricks up his sleeves. To think that his slash would miss. The moment that thought crossed their minds, their expressions changed. After the slash landed, a gigantic vortex was formed where the blade's edge passed. It was earth-shaking and stirred the entire sea. It was not so obvious within the depths of the sea. However, if someone were to stand in the sky and look down at the surface of the sea, they would be able to clearly see that the seawater was gathering and spinning continuously, forming a gigantic vortex. The depths of the vortex seemed to be able to reach the bottom of the sea. In the deep sea, three conjoint body mighty figures had just attacked when they were moved by the power of the gigantic vortex, and their destiny dermic weapons deviated from their original trajectories. Even the three of them could not control their bodies and were swept by the terrifying power of the vortex, surging in the direction of the dragon soul saber. The three mighty figures were shocked. The might of that casual slash was so terrifying. This person was only at the Dharma characteristic Realm Euro. How could he slash with such a saber technique? That slash had already contained the momentum of heaven and earth. That was a power that only conjoint body mighty figures could come into contact with. The moment that thought crossed the minds of the three conjoint body mighty figures, the dragon true body retracted his dragon soul saber and slashed out once more. Swoosh! A wave that was hundreds of thousands of meters tall surged towards the three of them. This was not actual seawater, but waves formed from saber chi that possessed an extremely sharp edge that could crush all living beings. Without hesitation, the three mighty figures channeled their essence spirits wildly and conjured dermic arts one after another. They controlled their destiny dermic weapons and charged towards the wave. Boom! There was a deafening sound. As though they were struck by lightning, cracks appeared on the robes of the three mighty figures, and they were filled with injuries and fresh blood. Endless fear filled the eyes of the three mighty figures. Chapter 1392, Slaying Grand Demons. Chapter 1392, Slaying Grand Demons. With just 2 slashes, 3 conjoint body mighty figures were severely injured. Let's retreat first. We can't beat him. The 3 mighty figures sent spirit consciousness transmissions and escaped into the distance in unison. Splash! In order to maximize their speed, 3 mighty figures revealed their true forms at the same time. They were 3 living beings of the sea and were conjoint body grand demons. One of them was extremely huge and was a silver fin gigantic tooth shark. The gigantic silver fin on its back shone brightly and was extremely striking in the deep waters. Legend has it that the silver fins on the back of the silver fin gigantic tooth shark were extremely powerful and could absorb moonlight to cultivate and raise one's cultivation. In this sea, they were considered as the overlords of the shark race. Under normal circumstances, for demons and other living beings, their combat strength would increase by at least 30% after they reverted to their true forms. However, the silver fin gigantic tooth shark did not stop at all. After reverting to its true form, the first thing it did was flee into the distance. The true form of one of the other 2 grand demons was a colorful dragonfish. Legend has it that the dragonfish possessed a thin bloodline of the dragon race and were considered as a branch of the mixed dragon lineage. As such, their potential was naturally extraordinary. The true form of the other grand demon was an ancient electric eel that shone with blue lightning. It swayed its tail and traveled through the depths of the sea at an extremely fast speed. Trying to flee, Suzimo waved his hand and slashed with his saber. Saber chi surged and raging tides rippled out in all directions around him. The 3 grand demons did not manage to escape far before they were engulfed by the surging tides behind them. Rar! 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 The 3 grand demons shrieked and channeled their essence spirits wildly, using all their strength to release dermic arts to clash against the raging tides. Bang! 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 The 3 grand demons shuddered. New injuries had appeared before their old injuries were healed. Fresh blood oozed from the noses of the 3 grand demons, and their organs were shifted positions by the shock from the raging tides. Fellow Taoist Long Emo, we're quite famous in the South Sea. Please show mercy. Sensing the aura of death, the silver-finned gigantic tooth shark could no longer hold on and was the first to swallow its pride and beg for mercy. You guys came to kill me, but you want me to show mercy? Su Zimo asked with a mocking expression. It's a misunderstanding. The ancient electric eel spoke in human tongue as well and explained hurriedly, we were also curious when we heard that an expert was practicing his saber techniques here and wanted to spar with you. Su Zimo asked with a fake smile, how did the three of you know my name then? The three grand demons were stunned for a moment as a hint of panic flashed through their eyes. But soon, the silver-finned gigantic tooth shark replied, everyone knows of the young master of Divine Phoenix Island. How dare you come and kill me after knowing that I'm the young master of Divine Phoenix Island? Su Zimo's expression turned cold as he said slowly, who gave you guys the guts? Su Zimo had only arrived at Divine Phoenix Island for a short 3 years and had barely interacted with anyone. After inheriting the position of the young master, he headed into the depths of the sea to cultivate. He did not recognize the three grand demons at all. More than that, he did not know how he became enemies with the three grand demons. The only possibility was that they were instigated by someone. The three grand demons had ugly expressions. After a long silence, the silver-finned gigantic tooth shark said in a deep voice, Long Emo, we have a vow. We can't tell you about this. If you refuse to tell, you can die. Su Zimo shook his head gently and could not be bothered to waste his breath on the three grand demons. He attacked once more and slashed forward. This time round, the Dragon Soul Saber did not make any sound when it slashed down. Ripples appeared in the deep sea and rippled towards the three grand demons. Although that slash was silent, it possessed a fatal killing intent. Long Emo, you've gone too far. With a furious roar, the silver-finned gigantic tooth shark suddenly opened its mouth and revealed a mouthful of sharp teeth. A vicious glint flashed through its eyes. Poof, poof, poof. Suddenly, a mouthful of silver teeth filled with blood fell off from the mouth of the silver-finned gigantic tooth shark. They pierced towards Su Zimo like flying swords. That was the trump card of the silver-finned gigantic tooth shark. It had cultivated its gigantic teeth for so many years, and they contained most of its cultivation. After releasing that move, even if it could survive, its combat strength would be greatly reduced. At this point, it could not care less. The dragonfish and ancient electric eel at the side released their trump cards one after another as well. Talismans and secret skills burst forth. Crack, crack, crack. When the gigantic teeth collided with the ripples released by the Dragon Soul Saber, they shattered instantly and turned into fragments that sank to the bottom of the sea. There were thousands of gigantic teeth in that single mouth of the silver-finned gigantic tooth shark. They were destroyed just like that by Su Zimo. Poof, poof. The secret skills released by the dragonfish and ancient electric eel could not defend against the saber ripples either. The talismans on the two grand demons were destroyed by the layers of ripples. The three grand demons spat out a huge mouthful of blood. Countless wounds appeared on the three of them, and their organs were filled with scars from the ripples. The three grand demons had dim expressions as they fled in 3 different directions. This was the South Sea after all. They had lived in the South Sea for 10,000 years and were more familiar with its terrain, environment, and everything else. They believed that as long as they could increase the distance between them and Su Zimo, the three grand demons would be able to shake off the latter with their terrain advantage. Su Zimo looked at the three grand demons that escaped and sat on the ground without getting up. To be precise, he had not stood up since the three grand demons appeared. Suddenly, he closed his eyes. He pursued the feeling in his heart and waved his saber to slash. It was the same thing he did in his daily practices. That slash was like a heavenly steed soaring through the skies, untraceable. Initially, because of this massive battle in the depths of the sea, the waters were already filled with raging tides. However, after that slash, the sea returned to normal instantly. The massive South Sea was peaceful. Before the three grand demons could escape far, a saber beam descended from above their heads. Instantly, their figures froze and their gazes dimmed. 3 grand demons had their essence spirits destroyed and were dead. At the same time, Su Zimo had already sensed the situation on the side of his Green Lotus true body and was relieved. Although his Saber Dao improved much after 3 years of cultivation, his cultivation realm was still hovering around the perfected Dharma characteristic realm and could not advance further. The further one progressed in the path of cultivation, the more difficult it would be. It was even more difficult if he wanted to break through a major cultivation realm. Even for the Green Lotus true body, he only managed to advance to the conjoint body realm in one go with the nourishment of the primordial divine spring, as well as the growth of the creation Green Lotus to grade 7. However, he did not know how long it would take for his dragon true body to advance to the conjoint body realm. It could be 10 or 100 years. If there was no opportunity, it could even be several thousand years later. Something like this could not be rushed. It's time to head back, Su Zimo murmured softly and was prepared to return to Divine Phoenix Island. Chapter 1393, Invitation from Ponglai. Chapter 1393, Invitation from Ponglai. Divine Phoenix Island. Many cultivators stood in the air and looked down at the surface of the sea as they discussed. There was such a huge commotion in the South Sea earlier on. I wonder what sort of a huge battle broke out there. I reckon that there's a high chance it was a mighty figure who attacked. Standing at the side, Imoing frowned slightly with a worried expression. Right then, a cultivator in a white shirt walked over. He was scholarly and had a warm expression with a smile on his face. Mighty figure Heavenly Phoenix. Many cultivators bowed hurriedly when they saw that person. Even though mighty figure Heavenly Phoenix failed in wielding the Dragon Soul Saber 3 years ago, he still had an unshakable status after managing Divine Phoenix Island for many years. Furthermore, he was the owner of another Divine Phoenix bone to begin with. For the past 3 years, mighty figure Heavenly Phoenix faced the wall at the edge of the South Sea. It was only recently that he regained his freedom and reappeared. After all, back in the Dragon Soul Hall, mighty figure Heavenly Phoenix had been extremely restrained the entire time and did not say anything out of line. "What are you guys discussing?" Mighty figure Heavenly Phoenix asked with a smile. Earlier on, the South Sea suddenly surged in a berserk manner. All of us are guessing that there should be a fight between top-tier experts in the South Sea. Some cultivators said hurriedly. Yes. Mighty figure Heavenly Phoenix nodded slightly. The surface of the sea is calm now. Seems like this battle has ended. Everyone, disperse and don't linger here. Understood. Many cultivators cupped their fists and turned to leave. Swoosh. Right then, the sound of water could be heard from the surface of the sea. 3 gigantic figures broke out of the sea with a thick blood stench. All the cultivators looked over instinctively, and their expressions changed. This is bad. It's the silver-fin gigantic tooth shark. Ah, that's an ancient electric eel. There's a dragonfish as well. Something's not right. The moment the exclamation sounded, everyone noticed something unusual. The 3 living beings of the sea were covered in injuries. Although their blood still emitted a tremendous amount of energy, they no longer had any signs of life. The energy released by their blood alone was so strong. The cultivation realms of the 3 living beings must have been at the conjoint body realm when they were alive. Strange, why would the corpses of 3 demon beasts jump out of the sea on their own? Right then, a sharp-eyed cultivator caught sight of a figure beneath the corpses of 3 demon beasts. The figure had scarlet hair that burned like flames and wore robes of the same color. He held the corpses of 3 demon beasts in one hand and a saber in the other. Many cultivators were stunned. Although it was declared that Su Zimo was the young master of Divine Phoenix Island, he entered the sea to cultivate thereafter and barely appeared. None of the cultivators on the island recognized Su Zimo right away. Only mighty figure Heavenly Phoenix's gaze shimmered for a moment before returning to normal. However, Imoing recognized Su Zimo right away and a smile finally appeared on her face. She came before the latter with relief and bowed. "Young master, you're finally back? Greetings, young master." The cultivators of Divine Phoenix Island reacted and bowed. As the young master of Divine Phoenix Island, he was practically superior to everyone except a single person. He could mobilize thousands of troops given his status. Even some conjoint body elders had to greet Suzimo if they saw him. Suzimo's gaze shifted to Mighty Figure Heavenly Phoenix. Mighty Figure Heavenly Phoenix smiled and bowed slightly towards Suzimo. "Greetings, young master." His smile was very sincere and looked like a spring breeze, giving one a good impression and trust unconsciously. "Young master, this is—" Mighty Figure Heavenly Phoenix pointed to the 3 demon corpses in Suzimo's hands. "If I'm not wrong, those 3 grand demons are famous demons in the South Sea." "I don't know them," Suzimo said. "They tried to encircle and kill me at the bottom of the sea, but I slaughtered them casually. The flesh of these 3 grand demons is precious, so I brought them along. It's a good opportunity to share it with the cultivators of the island. Even if a grand demon were to die, they would be filled with treasures from head to toe. Notwithstanding bones, fangs, and claws, the flesh of these grand demons alone possessed extremely pure energy. Furthermore, the energy within the flesh of a grand demon that had just died was not as berserk and was relatively gentle. It was the most suitable to consume." The surrounding cultivators exclaimed excitedly when they heard that. Suzimo tossed the 3 grand demons into the crowd casually. "You guys can take care of it. Young master, you are generous." Mighty Figure Heavenly Phoenix could not help but exclaim, "Those 3 grand demons are notorious throughout the South Sea. To think that they would be killed by you. I see that you have yet to advance to the conjoint body realm. To think that you would already possess such combat strength. How admirable. If it was anyone else, they would definitely reveal joy upon hearing those praises." However, Suzimo's expression was calm as he suddenly asked, "I've never met these 3 grand demons before. Why do you think they wanted to kill me?" "I don't know," Mighty Figure Heavenly Phoenix said in a deep voice. "The reasons should be only revenge, or for some treasures. I'm guessing that the 3 grand demons must have taken a liking to some treasure in your possession and became greedy when they saw that you were only at the Dharma characteristic realm." That explanation made sense. Right? Suddenly, Mighty Figure Heavenly Phoenix took out a golden invitation from his storage bag and handed it to Suzimo. "A few days ago, Divine Phoenix Island received an invitation from the young master of Penglai Island of the East Sea to invite you over for a chat." "East Sea Penglai?" Suzimo murmured softly and took the invitation. A line of red words was written on the invitation, as though it was burning with flames and revealing a sharp edge. "I heard that the young master of Divine Phoenix Island is newly established. Congratulations. I'm also curious about fellow Taoist Longimo. Right now, the East Sea Fusang flower is blossoming and it's extremely rare. Here's an invitation for fellow Taoist Longimo to head over for a chat to admire the flowers and drink tea. Please don't decline, fellow Taoist." In the cultivation world, there were 2 islands and 1 palace. The 2 islands referred to the South Sea Divine Phoenix Island and the East Sea Penglai Island. Imoing took a look at the invitation and nodded. "Indeed, it's from Penglai Island. Who is the young master of Penglai Island?" Suzimo asked. "His Tao title is Mystic Frost, and he's at the conjoint body realm." Imoing said, "There are similarities between Penglai and Divine Phoenix Island. Most of the cultivators on the island cultivate the Saber Tao as well. However, the Saber Tao left behind by the Saber Emperor possesses a tough aura and involves large swings. On the other hand, the Saber Tao inheritance on Penglai Island is sinisterly gentle and utilizes cunning angles." "How's the relationship between the 2 islands?" Suzimo asked again. "Not bad," Imoing said. "Since cultivators of the 2 islands cultivate the Tao of the Saber, it's inevitable for them to spar. However, there's no deep feud and there has never been any major conflicts. The invitation is quite polite. Why don't you head over Penglai Island to check it out, young master?" "Oh." Suzimo raised his brow. Imoing explained, "Firstly, you are just newly established in your position. Even without the invitation of mighty figure Mystic Frost, you would have to head over to Penglai Island to check things out sooner or later. Secondly, the Fusang flower is blossoming on Penglai Island right now. This is a rare opportunity. The Fusang tree was the divine tree of the East Sea. Legend has it that when the Fusang flower blooms, a ball of flames will burst forth from each flower in an extremely stunning manner. In fact, there were even cultivators who comprehended the Tao through observing the blossoming of the Fusang flower. Chapter 1394, Sacred Volcano. Chapter 1394, Sacred Volcano. Heavenly Phoenix, what do you think? Su Zimo asked in a seemingly casual manner. Mighty figure Heavenly Phoenix smiled. My thoughts are the same as Imo Ying's. I suggest that you accept the invitation and head to Penglai Island. The saber technique inheritance of Penglai Island is rather unique. If you take a look, you might be able to comprehend something new. Furthermore, you don't have to worry about safety on this trip to Penglai. No matter how audacious Penglai Island is, they won't dare harbor designs on you. Don't worry, young master. I'll stay by your side for this trip as well and ensure that you return unharmed. Mighty figure Heavenly Phoenix said confidently. That's great. Su Zimo nodded. Since that's the case, let's take a look at Penglai Island. Heavenly Phoenix, make the arrangements. All right. Mighty figure Heavenly Phoenix bowed and retreated before long. No one was more familiar with such things than him. Su Zimo gazed at the back of mighty figure Heavenly Phoenix and his eyes flickered in thought as he murmured softly, East Sea, East Sea. In less than an hour, everything was ready. There were not many people accompanying him this time round, and there were only two conjoint body mighty figures, mighty figure Heavenly Phoenix and Imo Ying. Of the remaining people, there were more than 10 Dharma characteristic Tao Lords. Jing Ming and Jing Shang, who had a conflict with Su Zimo in the Dragon Soul Hall, were among them as well. They arrived at the seaside. Mighty figure Heavenly Phoenix's fingers changed continuously and shot out divine lights into the sea. He hollered softly, "Come on out." Not long after he said that, a huge shadow appeared beneath the surface of the sea not far away. Immediately after, the surface of the sea surged and a massive object rose slowly, floating on the water with a gigantic turtle shell on its back like a massive piece of land. Mighty figure Heavenly Phoenix said, "This is the dragon turtle reared by Divine Phoenix Island. With it carrying us, we'll be able to reach Penglai Island in about 10 days. The dragon turtle was a pure-blooded ferocious beast. It was said that there was a trace of dragon blood in its body as well. Furthermore, this dragon turtle had already cultivated to the conjoint body realm. Su Zimo and the others descended on the dragon turtle's back. Without a single word, the dragon turtle moved its thick limbs and tore through the layers of waves, swimming towards the east at an astonishing speed. From afar, it looked like a moving continent. Su Zimo and the others floated on the surface of the sea for a whole 17 days. In the past few days, they had encountered many powerful living beings in the sea as well. However, all of them chose to avoid the dragon turtle of Divine Phoenix Island when they saw it. This day, a large piece of land appeared before them. We're here. Mighty figure Heavenly Phoenix stood up slowly. East Sea, Penglai Island. The patrolling cultivators on the island had long noticed the situation on the surface of the sea and reported it immediately. Before long, a large group of cultivators welcomed them from Penglai Island. The person in the lead looked extremely young and wore white robes with an extraordinary aura. He shouted from afar, "Your fellow Taoist Long Imo, the young master of Divine Phoenix Island, right? I'm Mystic Frost. I've heard a lot about you. Meeting you today, I can tell that you're indeed outstanding and inspiring." Su Zimo smiled as well. "You're too kind, fellow Taoist Mystic Frost." Mystic Frost's gaze landed on mighty figure, Heavenly Phoenix and Imo Ying behind Su Zimo and nodded. "The two of you can be considered as old friends. How have you been?" "Greetings, fellow Taoist Mystic Frost." Mighty figure Heavenly Phoenix and Imo Ying bowed slightly. Although the three of them were at the same cultivation realm, Mystic Frost was the young master of an island after all and had a noble status. The two of them must not be rude. Fellow Taoist Longamo, please. Mystic Frost turned slightly and gestured invitingly. Now that the Fusang tree has blossomed, you have come at the right time, fellow Taoist. Come with me to the Flower Admiration Pavilion. All right. Su Zimo nodded and did not decline. Under Mystic Frost's lead, the group of them advanced. Before long, a towering mountain appeared before them. Lava was spewing from the mountain peak and steam surged into the skies. The Fusang tree is in this volcano, Mystic Frost explained. Normally, this volcano will go silent. However, once the Fusang tree blossoms, the volcano will explode. This is no ordinary volcano. This is the sacred volcano of Penglai Island. Even if conjoint body mighty figures fall in, they will be incinerated with ease by the lava in the center. At that moment, the Dharma characteristic Tao Lords behind Su Zimo and the others were drenched in sweat. They were still a full 5 kilometers away from the sacred volcano. However, those Dharma characteristic Tao Lords were already unable to endure it. Mystic Frost smiled gently. All of you can guard here. If you continue forward, all of you might die. As for fellow Taoist Longamo, there's naturally no need to worry. Although Su Zimo was also at the Dharma characteristic realm, with his dragon true body, the temperature almost had no effect on him. Fellow Taoist Longamo, please follow me. Mystic Frost led the way and continued. The Fusang tree can't be seen from here. Our ancestor of Penglai Island once risked danger to establish a flower admiration pavilion in an area of the sacred volcano. Once we ascend the sacred volcano and arrive at the flower admiration pavilion, we'll be able to see the Fusang tree clearly. Su Zimo followed behind Mystic Frost indifferently. After mighty figure Heavenly Phoenix arrived, a mysterious smile appeared on his face but disappeared quickly. The closer they were to the sacred volcano, the more obvious the terrifyingly high temperature was. The surroundings of the sacred volcano had long turned into ruins without any vegetation and was silent and scorching. When they arrived at the foot of the sacred volcano, the difference between them gradually revealed itself. Among them, the 3 conjoint body mighty figures behind mighty figure Heavenly Phoenix and Mo Ing were slightly flushed with a layer of sweat on their foreheads and panting slightly. However, Su Zimo, mighty figure Heavenly Phoenix and Mystic Frost had calm expressions. Although mighty figure Heavenly Phoenix and Mystic Frost did not say anything, their hearts skipped a beat. They were all paragons of the conjoint body realm. One was the young master of an island while the other possessed a divine phoenix bone. Both of them possessed shocking bloodlines and were naturally able to withstand that temperature. However, Longamo was only at the Dharma characteristic realm and yet, his expression did not change at all. The group of them continued ascending the peak. Bang! Boom! Boom! After ascending the sacred volcano, everyone could clearly hear the terrifying rumbling of the volcano. The rumbling noise made everyone feel insignificant. It was as though everyone would be burned to ashes if the sacred volcano was enraged and lava sprayed down from above. Everyone did not stop in their tracks and were getting closer to the peak. After walking for a while more, a gigantic pavilion finally appeared before them. It's right ahead. We're almost there. Mystic Frost pointed to the pavilion at the front and said before speeding up. At that moment, the 3 conjoint body mighty figures behind Mo Ing and Mystic Frost were already panting and drenched in sweat. Their lips were dry and cracked. Even Mystic Frost, mighty figure Heavenly Phoenix, and Su Zimo blushed slightly. Su Zimo was secretly shocked. If the heat wave of the lava was already so powerful before they even reached the mouth of the volcano, how terrifying was the lava gushing out of the volcano? Chapter 1395. It's indeed you. Chapter 1395. It's indeed you. Everyone, please take a look. Mystic Frost stood in the Flower Admiration Pavilion and pointed forward. Everyone followed Mystic Frost's gaze. From that angle, it was perfect for them to look down at the gigantic volcano. Burning lava surged within, scarlet as blood as it emitted a scorching heat wave. It was extremely shocking. What was even more shocking was that a tall tree grew in the volcano. Its branches were filled with green leaves and flowers that resembled flames bloomed one after another. Fusang tree. That's the legendary divine tree of the East Sea. Emoing murmured softly. Everyone's eyes were filled with deep shock as well. If they had not witnessed it personally, none of them would have imagined that a tree would be able to grow within that scorching lava. Desolate Marshal, it's indeed you. Right then, a venomous voice filled with hatred sounded from outside the Flower Admiration Pavilion. Among the people in the Flower Admiration Pavilion, Emoing was the only one who was slightly shocked. Turning around, she looked towards the voice and hollered, "Who's there?" The others, including mighty figure Mystic Frost, Heavenly Phoenix, and even Suzumo, did not have much of a shocked expression on their faces, as though they had known that this would happen. Anyone who could recognize him as Desolate Marshal must have met him before. On the East Sea, there was only a single person who had seen him before. The Golden Crow Third Prince. Suzumo turned around slowly and looked at the Golden Crow Third Prince, who was not far away, with a mocking expression. "Indeed, it's you?" Actually, when he heard about the East Sea, Suzumo already thought of the Golden Crow Third Prince. Legend has it that the forbidden ground of the Golden Crow race was on Penglai Island of the East Sea. From your tone, you've already guessed it? Mighty figure Heavenly Phoenix asked with a smile. Suzumo said, "It's been hard on you to have to wait so long before making your move. When did you start suspecting me?" Mighty figure Heavenly Phoenix was puzzled and asked, "I've never acted strange towards you. Even for your status as a young master, I was the one who took the lead to greet you. I had my doubts the first time we met." Suzumo said, "At that time, you asked me where the woman with the divine phoenix bone went. I said that she left a long time ago and had never returned." "That's right, that's true." Mighty figure Heavenly Phoenix nodded. Suzumo continued, "When you heard that news, you seemed to have some regrets. However, I could vaguely sense that you had heaved a sigh of relief and relaxed considerably. That's because with that, you could attack me without any reservations." Mighty figure Heavenly Phoenix could not help but laugh and nod. "Not bad. Your senses are truly sharp. Even such a slight change in emotions can't deceive you." Suzumo continued, "After that, everything went out of your control. You were unprepared when I suddenly wielded the Dragon Soul Saber and became the young master of Divine Phoenix Island." When he heard that, mighty figure Heavenly Phoenix's expression darkened immediately. Suzumo asked, "A few days ago, the 3 grand demons that encircled me were also your doing, right?" "That's right." Since things had come to this, there was no need to hide anything anymore. Mighty figure Heavenly Phoenix nodded. "At that time, I obtained a secret letter from Penglai Island that said that you were the legendary Tao Lord Desolate Marshal. You killed many conjoint body mighty figures in the Battle of Heaven and Earth Valley and was renowned throughout the world. Naturally, I was skeptical about that." Suzumo continued, "Therefore, the reason why you asked the 3 grand demons to encircle and kill me was because you wanted to test my capabilities." "That's right." Mighty figure Heavenly Phoenix said, "When I saw the 3 grand demons die so swiftly, I decided to join forces with Penglai Island." Mighty figure Heavenly Phoenix, "How dare you collude with Penglai Island to harm the young master?" It was only then that Emoing snapped out of her stupor and could not help but question coldly. Of everyone present, she was probably the only one who was kept in the dark. Initially, Suzumo thought that Emoing was bought over by mighty figure Heavenly Phoenix as well. After all, she was the one who suggested for him to come to Penglai Island initially. Now, it seemed like Emoing truly did not know. "Heavenly Phoenix, you're someone of Divine Phoenix Island. How can you let down your conscience and the guidance of the Island Master all these years for doing such a brazen act?" Emoing could not take it lying down and questioned again. Even now, she could not understand how mighty figure Heavenly Phoenix, who was initially gentle and friendly, would suddenly turn into such a state. Conscience? Mighty figure Heavenly Phoenix's lips curled as he laughed in a self-deprecating manner. Let me ask you, did the island master have a conscience imparting the position of the young master to an outsider? Whoever wields the Dragon Soul Saber will be the young master of Divine Phoenix Island. That is a rule set by the Saber Emperor. Our island master was merely following the ancestral teachings. What is wrong with that? Emoing argued loudly. Fufu. Mighty figure Heavenly Phoenix laughed. I was born in Divine Phoenix Island and grew up there. How much have I done for Divine Phoenix Island all these years? Just because I can't wield the Dragon Soul Saber, the island master has passed down the position of the young master to an outsider? I'm indignant. On what grounds? Mighty figure Heavenly Phoenix had painstakingly managed Divine Phoenix Island, and yet he was surpassed by Su Zimo overnight. He could not accept that at all. The Dragon Soul Saber belongs to me. The position of the young master belongs to me as well. Mighty figure Heavenly Phoenix did not conceal the killing intent in his heart as he said slowly, I don't care who you are. If you dare to fight with me for something, there's only death awaiting you. The reason why you, Desolate Marshal, can wield the Dragon Soul Saber is because an expert implanted the Divine Phoenix Bone in your body. As long as I can snatch away your Divine Phoenix Bone and possess 2 Divine Phoenix Bones, I'll be able to wield the Dragon Soul Saber as well. Emoing said coldly, Heavenly Phoenix, if you continue to be stubborn today, what's the use of you wielding the Dragon Soul Saber? You'll be hunted by everyone of Divine Phoenix Island and won't be able to return for the rest of your life. Ha 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 ha. Mighty figure Heavenly Phoenix could not help but laugh. Emoing, you're truly way too naive. None of you shall leave today. Once Desolate Marshal dies, I'll push away all responsibility cleanly. I'm the only one who can be the young master of Divine Phoenix Island. Mighty figure Heavenly Phoenix had long discussed everything with Penglai Island and the Golden Crow race. As long as Desolate Marshal was dead, he could blame this matter on the Golden Crow race and stay out of it. Who would know the truth when he returned to Divine Phoenix Island with the Dragon Soul Saber? After saying so much, Mighty figure Heavenly Phoenix finally released all the pent-up frustrations in his heart over the years. He felt immense joy. His gaze shifted to Su Zimo's face. Su Zimo still looked calm and composed, as though he had not realized that he was in danger and could die at any moment. That composure made Mighty figure Heavenly Phoenix frown and feel frustrated. There's something I don't understand. Mighty figure Heavenly Phoenix glared at Su Zimo and said in a deep voice, Since you suspect me, why did you follow me? Because you're after my Divine Phoenix Bone, and it's the same for me. Su Zimo laughed as well. If you were obedient, I wouldn't have attacked you either. However, since you have a death wish, you can't blame me. Chapter 1396, 8 Gates Dragon Lock Formation. Chapter 1396, 8 Gates Dragon Lock Formation. Prior to this, even if Su Zimo suspected Mighty figure Heavenly Phoenix, he could not attack. As Mighty figure Heavenly Phoenix had said, he had never displayed any hostility or even did anything out of line. Even if Su Zimo wanted to deal with Mighty figure Heavenly Phoenix, he had no chance. However, it was different now. The reason why I haven't exposed you is because I wanted to see how long more you could hold back. Su Zimo had a mocking expression. Seems like that's all you amount to. Desolate Marshal, you want to snatch my Divine Phoenix Bone? Think about your situation. Mighty figure Heavenly Phoenix sneered. Since I chose to lay my cards on the table with you, I've made thorough preparations. Even if you're Tao Lord Desolate Marshal, you'll have to die here today. To someone like you? Su Zimo smiled gently and shifted his gaze to the Golden Crow Third Prince. You want to kill me with this cripple? Tao Lord Desolate Marshal. At the mention of cripple, the Golden Crow Third Prince's expression darkened instantly as he grit his teeth. Back in the Battle of Heaven and Earth Valley, his third claw was crippled by the Divine Phoenix's claw that Su Zimo conjured and had yet to regrow. Conjoint body mighty figures could regrow severed limbs. However, for something like the Golden Crow race's third leg and the Heavenly Eye race's Heavenly Eye, it was difficult for them to recover completely once they were severely injured. That was equivalent to destroying more than half of the Golden Crow Third Prince's cultivation. Right now, although the Golden Crow Third Prince was still at the conjoint body realm, his combat strength was no longer as strong as before, and he was ranked last among the 10 princes. He won't be able to quell his anger and deep hatred unless he skinned Su Zimo alive, pulled out his tendons and burned his bones into ashes. Mystic Frost, as the young master of Penglai Island, you're actually helping the Golden Crow race to plot against the young master of Divine Phoenix Island? Imoing questioned loudly, unwilling to give up. It's useless to talk about that. Su Zimo shook his head. Since Penglai Island invited me here, they have no intention of letting me leave alive. Smart? Mystic Frost nodded and praised. Su Zimo changed the topic and swept his gaze across Mystic Frost and the others. However, the few of you are not enough to hurt me. On the side of Mighty Figure Heavenly Phoenix, including Mystic Frost and the 3 conjoint body Mighty Figures behind him and the Golden Crow Third Prince, there were only 6 Mighty Figures. This lineup was far inferior compared to Heaven and Earth Valley. Desolate Marshal, don't get worked up. The Golden Crow Third Prince laughed sinisterly. Since I know that you're the young master of Divine Phoenix Island, I naturally prepared a huge gift for you. Activate. The Golden Crow Third Prince stomped his feet and hollered. The moment he said that, a bedazzling light burst forth from the surroundings of the entire Flower Admiration Pavilion. It emanated an extremely strange power that coiled towards Su Zimo like shackles. A formation had long been set up around the vicinity of the Flower Admiration Pavilion, waiting for Su Zimo to step in. The strange thing was that the power of the formation only affected Su Zimo, but Imoing could not sense anything at all. Suddenly, Su Zimo frowned. He could sense that his bloodline was being suppressed by a strange power within the formation. Even his essence spirit was not spared. This formation is an array formation passed down from the upper world of the primordial era. It's called the Eight Gates Dragonlock Formation and is specifically targeted at the dragon race. The Golden Crow Third Prince said, "How is it, Desolate Marshal? Do you feel that your bloodline and essence spirit are restricted and can't be activated? Your dermic arts, secret skills, divine powers, and bloodline are all crippled. Right now, you're equivalent to half a cripple." With a grim expression, Imoing shielded Su Zimo tightly. Su Zimo was silent as well. Ha 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 ha. When he saw that, the Golden Crow Third Prince was even more smug. He could not help but rear his head in laughter, thinking that he had complete control of the situation. Desolate Marshal, stop thinking about dispelling the formation. The Golden Crow Third Prince continued. The reason why the formation was established here was because of the power of the lava in this sacred volcano. Given your strength, there's no way you can dispel this formation. Of course, I heard that you're extremely accomplished in array formations as well. Unfortunately, I won't give you the time or opportunity to dispel the formation. Golden Crow Third Prince, you're way too naive. Su Zimo said slowly. I've already said that the few of you and this Eight Gates Dragonlock Formation won't be enough to kill me. Before his sentence was finished, 2 blazing flames burst forth from Su Zimo's eyes and shot towards the Golden Crow Third Prince with 2 scarlet divine lights. Illumination Eye. The Golden Crow Third Prince was scared out of his wits, and his laughter stopped abruptly. Sure. He reverted to his true form right away and transformed into a golden streak of light, escaping into the distance. Poof! The golden light paused in midair. Immediately after, a tragic cry sounded. The Golden Crow Third Prince's figure reappeared. One of his golden wings was pierced by Illumination Eye and burned. The speed of the Golden Crow race was one of the fastest among the Primordial 9 races. Although the Golden Crow Third Prince's combat strength was reduced after his third leg was severed, it did not affect his movement technique. Even so, the visual technique arrived instantly and pierced one of the Golden Crow Third Prince's wings. If he had reacted slower, he would have been reduced to a corpse. Su Zimo felt a sense of pity. His attack was aimed at killing the Golden Crow Third Prince. Of course, this visual technique was not completely fruitless. Apart from severely injuring the Golden Crow Third Prince, he even killed a conjoint body mighty figure of Penglai Island behind the Golden Crow Third Prince. Su Zimo's attack came without any warning at all. Coupled with the fact that his visual technique was instantaneous and extremely fast. Although the Golden Crow Third Prince reacted and escaped first, the conjoint body mighty figure behind him was caught off guard. In his stunned moment, his glabella was penetrated by Illumination Eye. A huge hole was burned into the mighty figure's head, let alone his essence spirit. How could this be? Mystic Frost frowned slightly and felt uneasy. Everyone, don't worry. The Golden Crow Third Prince shouted. Desolate Martial's visual technique can be activated without the use of his essence spirit. After releasing it, he no longer has any trump cards. Is that so? Su Zimo laughed and swiped his storage bag, retrieving a long saber with a chilling and domineering aura. The blade was almost transparent, and the dragon bones within could be seen. Dragon Soul Saber. Su Zimo wielded the Dragon Soul Saber and slashed forward. Swoosh! The layers of saber chi burst forth and formed a torrential wave that devoured towards the Golden Crow Third Prince and the others. Dragon chi coiled around the saber, and a divine dragon was formed. It surged in the raging tides with an endless might and charged towards everyone. How could this be? The Golden Crow Third Prince and the others were shocked. The fact that the slash produced such a powerful intent meant that Su Zimo's essence spirit was not restricted at all. Chapter 1397. Sea Calming. Chapter 1397. Sea Calming. It had to be said that formations passed down from the upper world of the primordial era were indeed extremely powerful. After activation, Su Zimo's bloodline was completely locked. No matter how he tried, he could not activate his bloodline. Under normal circumstances, his essence spirit would not be able to escape the outcome of being locked. However, the consciousness of the Dragon True Body was truly terrifying. Back then, the Green Lotus True Body was almost killed by the life-severing curse released by Wu Xie's self-destruction of his essence spirit. However, the Dragon True Body was not affected at all. There was not only a dormant divine turtle in the consciousness of the Dragon True Body, there were also 3 balls of light with terrifying auras. The power of the 8 Gates Dragon Lock formation was erased by the 3 balls of light the moment it entered his consciousness. Therefore, although Su Zimo could not activate his bloodline, his essence spirit was not restricted in any way. Although he had lost the killing weapon of his body and bloodline, he still had many powerful trump cards that he could use. When the Dragon Soul Saber slashed out, tsunamis and dragon roars exploded at the same time with a terrifying might. Humph! Mystic Frost harumphed coldly and chided. You're only asking for trouble by using the Sea Calming Saber technique on this sacred volcano. He summoned his Destiny Dermic weapon. It was a saber as well. The saber looked extremely extraordinary. It did not have the same majesty as the Dragon Soul Saber and was relatively narrow and long, like a poisonous anaconda that could devour humans. Mystic Frost channeled his mental cultivation technique and slashed viciously at the incoming wave. Shing! A scorching saber chi burst forth and split the incoming wave into 2, letting out the piercing sound of fire and water colliding. Even the divine dragon conjured by the Dragon Soul Saber was severed. As a conjoint body mighty figure and the young master of Penglai Island, Mystic Frost was naturally a top-tier paragon monster incarnate. Compared to the titular disciples of super sects, he was definitely on par or stronger. However, in the Tao of the Saber, he was not at the level where he could fight against Su Zimo. The reason why he was able to dispel Su Zimo's saber technique was because cultivation techniques had counters. The cultivation technique that Mystic Frost cultivated had a fire attribute. On the sacred volcano, the might of this cultivation technique was at its limits. On the contrary, every single slash of the Sea Calming manual contained the intent of the ocean. The moment the saber technique was released, the power of the saber technique on the sacred volcano was weakened. Suzumo's expression was unchanged as he retracted his saber and attacked once more. That slash was ethereal and impossible to detect. However, at that moment, the entire world seemed to have stopped. Mystic Frost watched as the Dragon Soul Saber slashed down from above his head slowly, but he could not move at all. Finally, he let out a shocked expression. Legend has it that this was the most terrifying saber technique in the Saber Emperor's inheritance. All these years, although the cultivators of the two islands had sparred countless times, no one had been able to release that saber technique. In fact, in the minds of the crowd, that saber technique had already become an illusory legend. Now that Sea Calming had descended, Mystic Frost finally experienced the fear of being unable to dodge the incoming blade. Clang! Right then, the sound of a blade being unsheathed echoed. An unparalleled saber beam descended, and the saber intent was the same as Sea Calming, slashing towards Suzumo's Dragon Soul Saber. The two almost identical saber intents collided, fought, negated, and devoured one another. Instantly, Mystic Frost broke free from that terrifying power and had a bewildered expression. Unknowingly, he broke out in cold sweat. Suzumo focused his gaze. Heavenly Phoenix. This scene had somewhat exceeded his expectations. To think that you've also comprehended Sea Calming, Suzumo said. Earlier on, mighty figure Heavenly Phoenix was the one who released Sea Calming to save Mystic Frost. He smirked proudly. Desolate Marshal, you underestimate me. This is not the only thing that will surprise you. Indeed, mighty figure Heavenly Phoenix had hidden himself extremely well. Even Emoing did not know his true strength, let alone Suzumo. She did not know that mighty figure Heavenly Phoenix had also cultivated Sea Calming. Oh, what other tricks do you have up your sleeves? Suzumo raised his brow. Mighty figure Heavenly Phoenix said in a deep voice, the reason why I joined forces with Penglai and the Golden Crow race today was to ensure that nothing went wrong. Desolate Marshal, you might not be my match in a one-on-one battle, even without this 8 Gates Dragon Lock formation. Is that so? Suzumo smiled. Take my attack then. He channeled his spirit consciousness and a divine light burst forth from his glabella, entering the firmaments. The power of divine powers spread. Boom! A loud bang sounded from the skies. The clouds exploded and a gigantic, thick stone pillar descended from the skies, charging towards mighty figure Heavenly Phoenix with a terrifying might. The stone pillar was grayish-white, and there was a 5-clawed divine dragon climbing on it. It was lifelike as though it could suppress the 10,000 races. The second innate divine power that Suzumo comprehended, the ancestral dragon divine pillar. The moment the innate divine power descended, the battle exploded as well. The two conjoint body mighty figures of Penglai Island surrounded Emoing. Although Emoing was alone, she was not disadvantaged against two conjoint body mighty figures. On the other side, the Golden Crow Third Prince, mighty figure Heavenly Phoenix and Mystic Frost were up against Suzumo. The Golden Crow Third Prince and Mystic Frost released their trump cards one after another and struck the ancestral dragon divine pillar. At the same time, mighty figure Heavenly Phoenix channeled his bloodline and roared into the skies. He actually released a loud phoenix cry, and his power of blood chi surged as he slashed towards the ancestral dragon divine pillar. Boom! A deafening noise echoed. The ancestral dragon divine pillar was shattered by the combined attack of the three of them. Ha 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 ha! Mighty figure Heavenly Phoenix burst into laughter. That's all there is to the legendary strongest monster incarnate in history. I'll let you witness my capabilities. The moment he said that, mighty figure Heavenly Phoenix's figure flashed and arrived before Suzumo in the blink of an eye, slashing with his saber. Splash! Not only did that slash unleash multiple saber intents, the sound of tsunami echoed from within the body of mighty figure Heavenly Phoenix. Tsunami blood. The tsunami of his bloodline resonated with the sound of his saber intent and caused the might of that slash to increase tremendously. Suzumo raised the Dragon Soul Saber and slashed in reverse. Clang! Sparks flew as the sabers collided. Su Zimo shuddered and could not help but retreat a step. After all, his cultivation was a major cultivation realm lower than mighty figure Heavenly Phoenix. Furthermore, his bloodline was restricted, and his melee combat strength was naturally inferior to mighty figure Heavenly Phoenix. At the same time, Mystic Frost closed in and thrust. Compared to the saber technique of mighty figure Heavenly Phoenix, that slash was extremely tricky and impossible to defend against. Su Zimo retreated once more. As for the Golden Crow Third Prince, he relied on his nimble movement techniques to linger around Su Zimo, waiting for an opportunity to strike. Although his wings were injured, they were still quite a threat to Su Zimo. The three mighty figures had the upper hand and were in control of the situation. Su Zimo had a calm expression. Even though he was disadvantaged, there was no hint of panic in his eyes, as though everything was under his control. Chapter 1398, Divine Phoenix Bloodline. Chapter 1398, Divine Phoenix Bloodline. Su Zimo's bloodline was sealed, and his melee combat strength was greatly reduced. Instantly, he was suppressed by mighty figure Heavenly Phoenix and the other two. However, even without the use of his bloodline, Su Zimo was still able to maintain his undefeated state with his body that cultivated the mystic classic of the 12 demon kings of the great wilderness and his omniscient spirit perception. So, that's all you've got, Heavenly Phoenix. Despite the massive battle, Su Zimo could still divert his attention to chuckle. Mighty figure Heavenly Phoenix's expression turned cold as he said coldly, "Desolate Marshal, since you want to die, I'll let you witness my true strength." Screech! The blood chi within mighty figure Heavenly Phoenix surged as he roared into the skies. His roar penetrated metal and cracked rocks. It was like the cry of a phoenix and contained endless might. Gradually, a divine bird blazing with flames appeared behind him. It flapped its wings with a dignified expression and a cold gaze, resembling a divine being that had descended upon the world. The divine bird was scarlet red and burned with flames. Without any multicolored feathers, it was extremely majestic. Mighty figure Heavenly Phoenix stood in midair and seemed insufferably arrogant under the illumination of the divine bird behind him. Bloodline phenomenon. When she saw that from the corner of her eye, Emoing was shocked and could not help but exclaim. Su Zimo narrowed his eyes slightly, but did not reveal much surprise. The bloodline phenomenon that appeared behind mighty figure Heavenly Phoenix further confirmed a guess in his mind. Desolate Marshal, the bloodline that flows through my body is the blood of the Divine Phoenix. It's not weaker than you. Mighty figure Heavenly Phoenix said slowly, the only thing you've won against me is that an expert once altered your fate for you and placed the Divine Phoenix bone directly in your body. Otherwise, you're inferior to me, and you wouldn't have been able to wield the Dragon Soul Saber before me. True enough, the bloodline of mighty figure Heavenly Phoenix was indeed the blood of the Divine Phoenix. Actually, the Tao title of mighty figure Heavenly Phoenix had already revealed some information. Furthermore, he once told Su Zimo that half of the blood in his body was not from the human race. Mighty figure Heavenly Phoenix said, "Back in the Dragon Soul Hall, I released the Divine Phoenix's essence blood to fuse with the Divine Phoenix bone. If I succeeded, I would have transformed into a Feng Huang bloodline that's comparable to the taboo race." Suddenly, Su Zimo understood something. In the primordial era, Tianhuang mainland had 3 major taboos. However, in reality, the taboo race did not merely consist of the Dragon Phoenix, Kurenpong, and Ho. Feng Huangs were considered as a taboo as well, but they had never appeared in Tianhuang mainland. There were many male and female phoenixes, but it was extremely rare for a Feng Huang to be born. Mighty figure Heavenly Phoenix shook his head gently with a hint of hatred in his eyes. Unfortunately, I still failed. Su Zimo's Divine Phoenix bone had already fused into his body. Even so, he had yet to transform into a Dragon Phoenix's bloodline. The Divine Phoenix bone of mighty figure Heavenly Phoenix was merely a bone fragment. The attempt to create a Feng Huang bloodline, just because of the similarities of the two bloodlines, was absolutely ridiculous. However, desolate marshal. You can die in peace." Mighty figure Heavenly Phoenix said, "I'll definitely not waste the divine phoenix bone in your possession. With 2 divine phoenix bones, my chances of transforming will increase greatly." "Stop wasting your breath on him," Mystic Frost urged. "Kill him quickly lest something unexpected happen." "Kill!" Mighty figure Heavenly Phoenix hollered, and the divine phoenix behind him soared into the skies, swooping down towards Suzimo with raging flames. At the same time, Mighty figure Heavenly Phoenix and the other 2 attacked at the same time, charging towards Suzimo with the most ferocious attack. If it was any other time, Suzimo would naturally be able to fight against the divine phoenix phenomenon by activating his bloodline and creating a bloodline phenomenon. But now that his bloodline was sealed, he naturally could not use his bloodline phenomenon. Suzimo had a calm expression as he looked at the 3 incoming people. He conjured hand seals with his fingertips and waved his hands in front of him, causing gray fog to spread out beneath his palms. The gray fog emitted a strange dermic power fluctuation that enveloped the 3 of them like a gigantic swamp. Baron. Right now, the rate of lifespan reduction in the center of Baron was 1,000 years per breath. Mighty figure Heavenly Phoenix and Mystic Frost were both young and had already cultivated to the conjoint body realm after cultivating for thousands of years. All of them had more than 10,000 years to live. However, even Mahayana patriarchs were unwilling to endure the decline of their lifespans, let alone conjoint body mighty figures with 20,000 years of lifespan. Furthermore, it was 1,000 years per breath. That speed was way too fast, and nobody could withstand it. It's that dermic art. The Golden Crow Third Prince's pupils constricted. When he saw the gray fog surging in Suzimo's palm, he reacted right away and sped into the distance. After all, he had witnessed the might of Baron in Heaven and Earth Valley. Therefore, he was long prepared and fled the moment he sensed something amiss. However, Mighty figure Heavenly Phoenix and Mystic Frost did not know about Baron's power. When the gray-colored ripple spread over and engulfed both of them, they were shocked and revealed stupefied expressions. "Lifespan! My lifespan!" Mystic Frost exclaimed. Although he had a noble status as the young master of Penglai Island and was experienced and knowledgeable, he was at a loss when faced with such a sudden situation. His lifespan had decreased way too quickly. Mighty figure Heavenly Phoenix was shocked as well. His first reaction was still to channel his bloodline and essence spirit to condense dermic powers to fight against Baron. However, he realized that the dermic art was so domineering that it was useless even if the blood of the divine phoenix flowed through his body. At the same time, the divine phoenix phenomenon had already descended before Suzimo. The Baron dermic art had no effect on the divine phoenix phenomenon. Humph! Suzimo harumphed coldly and extended his right arm, reaching to grab the divine phoenix phenomenon. Boom! The divine phoenix phenomenon collided heavily against Suzimo's right hand and let out a loud bang as flames surged into the air. Suzimo's face was pale. His entire arm was split open by the divine phoenix phenomenon. If not for the divine phoenix bone, his entire arm would have been crippled. Although his bloodline was sealed, the existence of the divine phoenix bone blocked most of the power of the divine phoenix phenomenon. He's not dead. The pupils of mighty figure Heavenly Phoenix constricted slightly as he retreated, wanting to escape from the radius of Baron. Right then, Suzimo charged out from the flames. Stepping on the gray-colored ripples of Baron, he arrived before mighty figure Heavenly Phoenix instantly. In the range of desolate Marshall's dermic arts, other cultivators would move extremely slowly. However, it had no effect on Suzimo. "You still want to leave?" With a cold expression, Suzimo suddenly reached out for the head of mighty figure Heavenly Phoenix. "Go!" Mighty figure Heavenly Phoenix slapped his storage bag and withdrew a scarlet bone fragment, injecting dermic powers into it. The bone fragment burst forth with a divine light and charged towards Suzimo. It was mighty figure Heavenly Phoenix's divine phoenix bone. "All right." Suzimo's gaze intensified. "That's what I was waiting for." Chapter 1399, Attack of a Half-Martial Ancestor. Chapter 1399, Attack of a Half-Martial Ancestor. Sure. A bronze square tripod flew out from Suzumo's glabella. It was filled with cracks and emitted an ancient aura, as though it had traveled through the primordial era. The bronze square tripod shielded Suzumo. Although the scarlet divine light released by the divine phoenix bone in the hands of mighty figure Heavenly Phoenix was powerful and could even penetrate a mighty figure's body, it did not cause any ripples when it struck the bronze square tripod. Swoosh! On the contrary, under Suzumo's control, the bronze square tripod smashed towards mighty figure Heavenly Phoenix. Under normal circumstances, mighty figure Heavenly Phoenix could avoid that collision with his dermic powers and bloodline. However, at that moment, he was stuck in the desolate gray fog and moved slowly. When he saw the bronze square tripod charging over, he could not dodge at all. Mighty figure Heavenly Phoenix's reaction was extremely fast, as well as he swung his saber with one hand and slashed towards the bronze square tripod. At the same time, he channeled the divine phoenix bone and released another scarlet flame that struck the bronze square tripod. Clang! Sparks flew when the saber struck the bronze square tripod. Mighty figure Heavenly Phoenix shuddered and felt his arm go numb. His saber trembled endlessly and nearly flew out of his hands. This saber was his destiny dermic weapon and was also a Khanate dermic weapon. It was refined with the blood of a divine phoenix as tribute and could even fight against the Dragon Soul Saber. However, at that moment, when the saber struck the bronze square tripod, its blade buzzed and trembled as though it was letting out a tragic sound. Mighty figure Heavenly Phoenix could not care less. Using the recoil from the clash between them, he channeled his bloodline dermic powers and retreated, breaking free from Baron. But, the moment he leaped up, he felt a figure flash before his eyes. Suzumo had already closed in and coiled around his body like an anaconda. With a cold expression, Suzumo took a deep breath and exerted strength. Anaconda strangle. Every single muscle on Suzumo's body expanded rapidly as he squeezed the space of mighty figure Heavenly Phoenix continuously, trying to kill the latter. Mighty figure Heavenly Phoenix struggled instinctively but could not break free. Earlier on, he could sense that Suzumo's body was still flexible and weak. However, after he was coiled, the latter's body became tough and unshakable as metal instantly. Not good. Mighty figure Heavenly Phoenix's scalp prickled and his heart skipped a beat. Desolate Marshal is trying to squeeze me to death. Under the intense danger, the heart of mighty figure Heavenly Phoenix pounded violently and was about to explode. Rumbling bloodlines burst forth one after another as he roared into the skies with a loud phoenix cry. Sensing the threat of death, mighty figure Heavenly Phoenix made use of his full strength for this burst of his bloodlines. Suzumo squeezed with all his might. Mighty figure Heavenly Phoenix struggled furiously for his life. Both of them exerted strength wildly. If Suzumo's bloodline was not sealed and his bloodline was released, he would have killed mighty figure Heavenly Phoenix in the blink of an eye. However, at that moment, Suzumo could not use his bloodline and was in a stalemate with mighty figure Heavenly Phoenix. At that moment, the Baron dermic art had dissipated as well. All of a sudden, two golden beams of light shot out from outside the Flower Admiration Pavilion like thunderbolts. They arrived instantly with endless killing intent. A terrifying spirit consciousness pressure descended. Emo Ying's heart skipped a beat and her expression changed. The pressure even made her feel suffocated. This is bad. A half-martial ancestor has arrived. Emo Ying was alarmed. From the corner of her eye, she caught sight of the two golden beams and her heart sank. The two golden beams surged with blood chi, and their auras were the same as the Golden Crow Third Prince. They were extremely scorching and were clearly from the Golden Crow race. It was a half-martial ancestor expert of the primordial races. It was over. Emo Ying felt despair. At the same time, Suzumo sensed danger as well. The habitat of the Golden Crow race was on this Penglai Island. It was not surprising that two half-martial ancestors of the Golden Crow race had arrived. Even if Suzimo's bloodline was not sealed, he would most likely be doomed against the Golden Crow half-martial ancestor as well. Furthermore, he could not use his bloodline and had already used all his trump cards. Right now, he had no chance of winning against two half-martial ancestors of the Golden Crow race. Desolate Marshal, you're dead? Ha 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 ha. Mighty figure Heavenly Phoenix could not help but burst into laughter. Suzimo had a calm expression and remained silent. Just as the two golden beams were about to reach Suzimo, an extremely terrifying spirit consciousness fluctuation spread out from his glabella. Suddenly, a palm-sized scarlet scale the size of a crescent floated out from his glabella. Essence Spirit Secret Skill, Reverse Scale. The pupils of mighty figure, Heavenly Phoenix, constricted violently. He could sense a strong aura of death from that scale. In his consciousness, his essence spirit was trembling uncontrollably. Thankfully, the essence spirit secret skill was not targeted at him, but the two half-martial ancestors of the Golden Crow race. Otherwise, mighty figure Heavenly Phoenix believed that he would definitely die. The two half-martial ancestors of the Golden Crow race were shocked as well and paused in their tracks. Under normal circumstances, the essence spirit secret skill of a Dharma characteristic Tao Lord should not be a threat to them. Any single spirit consciousness could shatter the other party's essence spirit secret skill. However, it was different for this scale. Even the two half-martial ancestors of the Golden Crow race felt threatened. You're asking for death. The two Golden Crow half-martial ancestors hollered and conjured their essence spirit secret skills as well. Two 3D golden crows that burned with golden flames flew out and smashed towards the scale. The three essence spirit secret skills collided silently. However, the surrounding void trembled and distorted. Even the trajectory of light was shifted. Cracks appeared on the reverse scale, and it shattered. Anyone who touched the reverse scale of a dragon would die. Although the reverse scale was strong, there was a limit to it. The essence spirit secret skills of the two Golden Crow half-martial ancestors shattered the reverse scale instantly. Of course, the two half-martial ancestors of the Golden Crow race grunted as well. Their essence spirits felt a sharp pain. While they were not injured, they were shocked. The essence spirit of a Dharma characteristic Tao Lord nearly injured their essence spirits. What would happen if this person entered the conjoint body realm? Kill. The two half-martial ancestors of the Golden Crow race hollered and attacked once more. The two of them grabbed with their palms and incomparably pure dermic powers condensed. Instantly, a long spear appeared in their palms. Dermic powers were already cultivated to the limits of the conjoint body realm. Any single motion could condense the strongest dermic arts. The spears burned with a golden sun essence fire that was incomparably scorching, as though it could incinerate all living beings. Swoosh! The two spears were thrown out and arrived before Suzimo instantly. Suzimo could only let go of his arm and summon the bronze square tripod with one hand to defend. At the same time, a vicious glint flashed in his eyes. Wielding the Dragon Soul Saber in his other hand, he slashed forward silently and a series of ripples appeared. When Suzimo fought against the two half-martial ancestors, mighty figure Heavenly Phoenix naturally broke free from his restraints. He could not help but feel relieved and his mind relaxed as well. He was about to escape. All of a sudden, he caught sight of something from the corner of his eye. Ripples seemed to spread from the void behind him and had already arrived. Boom! The two spears collided violently against the bronze square tripod with a loud bang. The bronze square tripod was indestructible. Although it blocked the two dermic power spears, the bronze square tripod could not defend against the power of the two Golden Crow half-martial ancestors. Suzimo's body shuddered, and the sound of bones cracking could be heard from his arm as a blood mist burst forth. His entire arm was crippled by the impact of that attack. Chapter 1400, Leaping into the Volcano. Chapter 1400, Leaping into the Volcano. His arm was crippled and the bronze square tripod fell to the ground. Suzimo no longer had the energy to pick up the bronze square tripod. That was because the terror of the Golden Crow half-martial ancestors was not merely limited to that. When the two spears collided with the bronze square tripod, they were already shattered. However, the scorching golden flames exploded and devoured Suzimo instantly. The sun essence fire conjured by the half-martial ancestor was much stronger than the Golden Crow third prince. His hair and flesh were charred and he was completely engulfed by the sun essence fire, turning into a gigantic human-shaped fireball. At the same time, another ball of blood light burst forth from the battlefield. "Ah!" Mighty figure Heavenly Phoenix's tragic cry sounded. It turned out that the slash released by Suzimo when he was defending against the two Golden Crow half-martial ancestors was targeted at mighty figure Heavenly Phoenix. A bloodied arm was sent flying. Although Suzimo was in the sun essence fire and felt immense pain throughout his body, he did not make a single sound. Gritting his teeth, he threw the Dragon Soul Saber down and grabbed mighty figure Heavenly Phoenix's broken arm. To be fair, the pain of being burned by the sun essence fire was not even comparable to 10% of the Tao Inheritance Ground's 3 Tribulations domain. The bone-piercing wind and the pain of the karmic flames were not something that ordinary people could endure. "He's not dead." The expressions of the two Golden Crow half-martial ancestors turned cold as they transformed into two golden beams of light that charged towards Suzimo. There was no way they could let Suzimo survive. Within the golden flames, a mocking look flashed through Suzimo's eyes. The moment the two Golden Crow half-martial ancestors moved, he moved as well. He did not advance, but leaped down towards the mouth of the volcano not far behind him. "Young master," Emoing exclaimed when she saw that. Bang! She was distracted and was struck by a dermic art from a mighty figure of Penglai Island instantly. She fell to the ground and spat out blood with a dim expression. As though she could not feel the pain on her body, Emoing merely looked in the direction of the mouth of the volcano in a daze. Suzimo's figure had long vanished into the rumbling heat. Even up above, they could barely endure the temperature of that sacred volcano, let alone the lava within. Even if the two half-martial ancestors of the Golden Crow race were to fall in, they would most likely be doomed. Everyone else was stunned when they saw that. To think that Desolate Marshall's character would be so unyielding that he would rather commit suicide than be killed by us, Mystic Frost said. "That's too easy on him," the Golden Crow third prince said hatefully. He could not vent the anger in his heart because he could not skin Suzimo alive, pull out his tendons and burn his bones into ashes. No, it's not that simple. Right then, the voice of mighty figure Heavenly Phoenix sounded, and he panted slightly. Blood was still flowing from his broken arm, and it had yet to regrow. The dragon chi contained by the Dragon Soul Saber affected his wound significantly. Although mighty figure Heavenly Phoenix's aura was weak, he urged still, "You guys, take a look at the mouth of the volcano. Desolate Marshall might have other tricks up his sleeves." "That's right." The Golden Crow third prince reacted as well. Desolate Marshall has an extremely blessed life. In the previous battle of Heaven and Earth Valley, he did not die even after he was exiled into the void by a half-martial ancestor of the human race. Humph. One of the Golden Crow half-martial ancestors harumphed coldly. "What's the temperature of the lava in the sacred volcano? Even we would die if we fell in, let alone a Dharma-characteristic Tao Lord." Even with that said, everyone endured the heat of the sacred volcano and headed towards its mouth. By the time they arrived at the mouth of the volcano, the Golden Crow third prince, Mystic Frost, and the others were drenched in sweat that evaporated immediately. Even their skin was dry and cracked. A layer of sweat appeared on the cheeks of the two Golden Crow half-martial ancestors. Everyone focused their gazes towards the depths of the volcano. In the depths of the volcano, scarlet lava surged and Suzimo's eyes were tightly shut. More than half of his body was drowned in the lava. His flesh was already burned into nothingness. Although only his skeleton was left, it began to melt under the terrifying lava as well. Before long, The lava surged and engulfed Su Zimo completely. Everyone heaved a sigh of relief when they saw that. In that case, there shouldn't be any accidents. Everyone retreated one after another. Every single moment at the borders of the mouth of the volcano was an immense torture for them. How is it? Is Desolate Marshal still alive? Mighty Figure Heavenly Phoenix did not advance because his arm was snapped. He asked hurriedly when he saw everyone return so quickly. He's dead. Mystic Frost nodded and said with conviction, from this day forth, Desolate Marshal will cease to exist in the cultivation world. He died so easily. Mighty Figure Heavenly Phoenix still could not believe it. He turned to look at the two Golden Crow half-martial ancestors and could not help but say, Seniors, you should have been faster and stopped Desolate Marshal from jumping down the volcano. Why? Are you blaming us? A Golden Crow half-martial ancestor had a cold expression and his tone was sinister. And no, that's not what I meant. Mighty Figure Heavenly Phoenix was alarmed and explained hurriedly, after all, Desolate Marshal has too many secrets and treasures on him. It's a pity for him to die in the volcano just like that. Humph. The Golden Crow half-martial ancestor harumphed coldly. There's nothing to pity. Desolate Marshal's bronze tripod and Dragon Soul Saber are still here on the volcano. But Mighty Figure Heavenly Phoenix wanted to speak but stopped. But what? The other Golden Crow half-martial ancestor sneered and asked. My arm. Fufu. Before Mighty Figure Heavenly Phoenix could finish, he was interrupted by a sneer. The Golden Crow half-martial ancestor pouted. It's just an arm. Once you recuperate for a few days and the dragon chi around your wound dissipates, it'll naturally regrow. But Mighty Figure Heavenly Phoenix wanted to explain further. The Golden Crow half-martial ancestor frowned slightly and waved his hand with an impatient expression. Mighty Figure Heavenly Phoenix sighed internally. For some reason, he felt uneasy. Indeed, his severed arm was not considered a serious injury. However, the key was that there was a divine phoenix bone in his palm. At that time, the situation changed drastically. In fact, Desolate Marshal insisted on severing Heavenly Phoenix's arm instead of using his full strength to defend against the attacks of two half-martial ancestors. Later on, Desolate Marshal's arm was crippled by the attacks of the two half-martial ancestors as well. However, he was willing to abandon his bronze square tripod and the Dragon Soul Saber in order to get his hands on the divine phoenix bone. Desolate Marshal had painstakingly endured serious injuries and abandoned many treasures just to obtain the divine phoenix bone. Could he have done that just so he could commit suicide with it by jumping into the volcano? That did not make sense. Of course, since Mystic Frost and the others saw Desolate Marshal die with their own eyes, there shouldn't be any accidents. Although Desolate Marshal was killed in this battle, they suffered immense losses as well. It was even more so for Mighty Figure Heavenly Phoenix. Initially, he thought that he would be able to get his hands on Desolate Marshal's divine phoenix bone. Even if he could not cultivate the bloodline of the Feng Huang, his combat strength would increase tremendously. To think that he would have lost his divine phoenix bone just like that. Chapter 1401. Transformation. Chapter 1401. Transformation. Second, fourth brother. Why are the two of you here? The Golden Crow third prince frowned slightly in displeasure. I've long set up the 8 Gates Dragon Lock formation in advance. Desolate Marshal's bloodline was sealed, and there's no way he could have escaped. Although the Golden Crow race had many clansmen, the younger generation of each generation viewed the Golden Crow 10 princes as their leaders. The two half-martial ancestors were also among the Golden Crow 10 princes. One was the Golden Crow second prince, and the other was the Golden Crow fourth prince. Among the Golden Crow 10 princes, their cultivation realms were different. However, the weakest were conjoint body mighty figures as well. Third brother, if we hadn't came, you would have been killed by Desolate Marshal. The Golden Crow fourth prince laughed. Humph. The Golden Crow third prince clenched his fists. Don't think that I don't know what you guys are up to. You're just here to fight for desolate Marshall's treasures. There was intense competition between the Golden Crow Tin Princes, and it was not common for them to fight one another personally. The Golden Crow's second prince did not say anything the entire time. However, he walked towards the bronze square tripod and lifted it up. So heavy. His heart skipped a beat. Although Desolate Marshall died, he left behind two treasures, the bronze square tripod and the Dragon Soul Saber of Divine Phoenix Island. The Dragon Soul Saber was famous outside. Furthermore, the Saber Emperor said that whoever could wield the Dragon Soul Saber would be the young master of Divine Phoenix Island. However, in the eyes of the Golden Crow's second prince, this bronze square tripod was even more precious and mysterious than the Dragon Soul Saber. The bronze square tripod looked completely destroyed with cracks all over its body. However, it managed to defend against the attack of two half-martial ancestors. The Golden Crow's second prince closed his eyes and condensed his spirit consciousness, wanting to erase the spirit consciousness imprint left behind by Desolate Marshall on the bronze square tripod. The bronze square tripod could only become his treasure if he erased the spirit consciousness imprint left behind by Desolate Marshall. On the other side, the Golden Crow fourth prince walked forward and picked up the Dragon Soul Saber. He grinned at the Golden Crow third prince. Third brother, this Dragon Soul Saber belongs to me? Humph. The Golden Crow third prince harumphed coldly with a terrible expression. Ever since the battle at Heaven and Earth Valley where he severed his third leg and returned to Penglai Island with severe injuries, his status in the Golden Crow race had plummeted. For a Golden Crow, the loss of a third leg was equivalent to the loss of its strongest trump card. Initially, the Golden Crow third prince wanted to suppress Desolate Marshall this time round and obtain his treasures and cultivation techniques before making a breakthrough. To think that he did not manage to gain any benefits this time round as well, and was interrupted by two of the Golden Crow Tin Princes. The Golden Crow fourth prince walked forward with a smile. The moment his palm touched the Dragon Soul Saber, a change happened. Clang, clang. Suddenly, the saber quivered wildly and released streams of violent saber chi. The ancestral dragon chi spread and released a powerful might. Caught off guard, his palm was injured by the saber chi released by the Dragon Soul Saber and fresh blood flowed. How dare a ownerless weapon act so insolently? The Golden Crow fourth prince retracted his smile and his expression turned cold. As a half-martial ancestor, he was completely unaffected by the wounds in his palm. In the blink of an eye, everything had healed. He channeled the dermic powers of his bloodline and a golden sun essence fire condensed in his palm, burning the Dragon Soul Saber continuously. The saber chi of the Dragon Soul Saber was burned into nothingness instantly. Even the ancestral dragon chi could not hold out. Roar! However, the Dragon Soul Saber was still extremely violent. Sensing the unfamiliar bloodline, the ancestral dragon chi burst forth wildly and formed a phantom of the ancestral dragon in midair, letting out a resounding dragon roar at the Golden Crow fourth prince. Evil creature! The Golden Crow fourth prince said hatefully, "How dare you be so noisy in front of me?" Opening his mouth, the Golden Crow fourth prince suddenly spat out a stream of scarlet gold flames that devoured the ancestral dragon instantly and burned wildly. The ancestral dragon phantom let out a series of sorrowful cries. In the end, the power of the Dragon Soul Saber could not defend against a half-martial ancestor of the Golden Crow race. Hee. When he saw that, the Golden Crow third prince could not help but laugh. Both the second and third princes met with considerable obstacles in their attempts to obtain Desolate Marshall's treasures. The sight of them suffering caused the Golden Crow third prince to gloat. What about that woman? Mystic Frost's gaze landed on Mo-ing in the pavilion. Kill? Mighty Figure Heavenly Phoenix was expressionless and merely said a single word. Mystic Frost shook his head gently. It's a pity to kill such a beauty. Furthermore, she's a conjoint body Mighty Figure. That woman has to die. Mighty Figure Heavenly Phoenix's tone was resolute. If Mo-ing were to return to Divine Phoenix Island alive, he would definitely be implicated. He did not care about women at all. When she heard the discussions of mighty figure Heavenly Phoenix and Mystic Frost, Mo Ying's expression did not change, nor was there any fear in her eyes. She was the saber attendant that Divine Phoenix Island had painstakingly selected. There was no longer a need for her to survive with the death of her young master. Strange. Right then, the Golden Crow's second prince opened his eyes and frowned. Desolate Martial is only a Dharma characteristic Downlord. Why is the spirit consciousness imprint left on the bronze square tripod so stable? Under normal circumstances, as a half-martial ancestor, he could erase the spirit consciousness of Dharma characteristic Downlords with a single thought. However, even after 5 minutes, the spirit consciousness on the bronze square tripod showed no signs of disappearing. Hee. The Golden Crow third prince laughed. You guys don't know yet, right? Even though Desolate Martial was buried in the sacred volcano earlier on, he's not dead. What do you mean by that? The Golden Crow second prince asked with a frown. Desolate Martial has 2 true bodies. The one that died earlier on was just his dragon true body. The Golden Crow third prince said, in other words, Desolate Martial isn't dead yet. It's not so easy to erase his spirit consciousness. Under normal circumstances, if a cultivator were to die, it would naturally be much easier to erase a remnant spirit consciousness imprint. However, if a cultivator was not dead, it would be much more difficult to erase the spirit consciousness imprint. That's not right either. The Golden Crow second prince shook his head. This bronze square tripod is clearly a dermic weapon of Desolate Martial's dragon true body. What has it got to do with his other true body? Unless Desolate Martial's dragon true body isn't dead. A thought flashed through the Golden Crow second prince's mind. Immediately, he denied that thought. They had witnessed Desolate Martial jump into the sacred volcano and be devoured by the terrifying lava. How could he still be alive? The Golden Crow's second prince laughed self-deprecatingly and thought to himself, I'm overthinking it. At that thought, he closed his eyes and continued to channel his spirit consciousness to refine the bronze square tripod. Actually, the Golden Crow's second prince was not wrong. Indeed, Su Zimo was not dead. Not only was he not dead, in the sacred volcano, he was experiencing the greatest transformation of his body and bloodline ever since he started cultivating. Chapter 1402, Birth of the Dragon Phoenix. Chapter 1402, Birth of the Dragon Phoenix. Actually, the moment he sensed the arrival of the 2 half-martial ancestors, Su Zimo had already made a decision. He was going to leap into the sacred volcano. Given his current cultivation realm, even if his bloodline was not sealed, he could not defeat the 2 half-martial ancestors of the Golden Crow race. In other words, he had no chance of winning against the 2 half-martial ancestors of the Golden Crow race. However, he could fight for a chance of survival if he leaped into the sacred volcano. Given the power of the sacred volcano's incineration, it could definitely incinerate the power of the 8 Gates Dragon Lock formation into nothingness and purge his bloodline. Of course, given the terror of the sacred volcano, his body, bloodline, and bones would most likely melt. However, that melting might be an opportunity for the Dragon True Body instead. Back in the Dragon Bone Valley, the Dragon Elder had told him about the Dragon Phoenix. The reason why the Dragon True Body could not conjure a complete dragon body was because of the existence of the Divine Phoenix Bone and its inability to coexist with his bloodline. However, with the help of the flames of the sacred volcano, there was a chance that he could refine the Divine Phoenix Bone and fuse it with his Dragon True Body. Of course, that choice was way too risky. If he succeeded, he would naturally be reborn. However, if he failed, his Dragon True Body would die in the sacred volcano with his body and spirit destroyed without a corpse left. Given the current situation, Su Zimo had no other choice but to give it a shot. In order to increase the success rate of the fusion, Su Zimo even threw the bronze square tripod and Dragon Soul Saber on the volcano peak and snatched mighty figure Heavenly Phoenix's Divine Phoenix Bone. With the 2 Divine Phoenix Bones in his hands, Su Zimo leaped into the sacred volcano. As he had expected, the lava of the sacred volcano was extremely terrifying, and the Dragon True Body's body and bloodline could not withstand it. They were melted before long. Not only that, the two divine phoenix bones on his body also began to melt in the lava of the sacred volcano. Given normal cultivation, it was difficult for the divine phoenix bones to fuse with the bloodline and body of the Dragon True Body. But now, his Dragon True Body and divine phoenix bones had transformed into scorching lava one after another as the two bloodlines fused rapidly. The Golden Crow Third Prince and the others witnessed Su Zimo devoured by the lava of the sacred volcano with their own eyes. However, they could not see that a strange scene was happening beneath the lava. Three balls of light swiveled slowly and emanated a tremendous power, forming a barrier of light that isolated the heat from the lava and protected the scarlet-haired essence spirit tightly in the middle. His scarlet-haired essence spirit had to be protected. If his scarlet-haired essence spirit was burned to ashes, it would be useless no matter how his body and bloodline evolved. However, the lava of the sacred volcano was way too terrifying. The power released by the three balls of light could barely hold out. At that moment, around the scarlet-haired essence spirit, the Dragon True Body had already disappeared and the two divine phoenix bones had already melted. The combination of the two was producing a brand new bloodline and an even more terrifying power through the refinement of the lava at the sacred volcano. The scarlet-haired essence spirit sensed something, and the power of his essence spirit surged, breaking through the barrier of the Dharma characteristic realm and entering the conjoint body realm. The fusion of the Dragon True Body was not a fusion of the heaven and earth Dharma characteristic. It was the fusion of the dragon and divine phoenix. A brand new body appeared in the steaming lava. Initially, it was just an outline. As time passed by, it gradually became clearer. If anyone could see what was beneath the lava, they would be shocked to discover that this body was not the body of a human. I still can't do it. The Golden Crow Second Prince opened his eyes once more and spat out hatefully. There was already a hint of impatience on his face. Should I give it a shot? The Golden Crow Third Prince gloated at the side. Humph. The Golden Crow Second Prince said coldly, I refuse to believe that I can't do it. If I can't refine it in a day, I'll refine it for a year. If I can't refine it in a year, I'll refine it for 10 years. On the other side, the Golden Crow Fourth Prince had finally suppressed the Dragon Soul Saber. At the back, he was even forced to use the power of divine powers. It's about time. Suddenly, mighty figure Heavenly Phoenix said, Imo-ing, it's time for you to die and accompany your young master. Fufu. Imo-ing smiled. Heavenly Phoenix, you plotted against our young master. You won't meet with a good end. You'll definitely suffer retribution. Retribution? Mighty figure Heavenly Phoenix could not help but burst into laughter. Ha 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 ha. Now that desolate marshal is dead, I'll be the young master of Divine Phoenix Island once I return to Divine Phoenix Island. I'm not afraid of retribution at all. Is that so? Right then, a strange voice sounded from the top of the mountain, as though it came from beneath the sacred volcano. Everyone was stunned and looked over instinctively. The bottom of the sacred volcano was boiling lava. How could there be someone there? Clang, clang, clang. Right then, the sound of metal clashing echoed from beneath the sacred volcano, as though a sharp weapon was piercing into the stone walls. Mighty figure Heavenly Phoenix's face was pale as his throat moved, and he could not help but gulp. I am possible. He shook his head repeatedly with a bewildered expression. Imo-ying's eyes were filled with shock and joy. She could tell that the voice was the voice of her young master, and there was no mistake about it. The young master was not dead. Impossible. The Golden Crow Second Prince harumphed coldly and headed towards the mouth of the sacred volcano in a flash. The Golden Crow Third Prince, Fourth Prince, Mystic Frost, and mighty figure Heavenly Phoenix moved one after another as well. They endured the scorching heat and looked down at the bottom of the sacred volcano. Thereafter, the few of them witnessed a scene that they would never forget for their entire lives. In the rumbling lava, a gigantic living being crawled out slowly. It bore a dragon's head and a phoenix's tail alongside 5 claws. Every single claw was incomparably sharp and shone with a cold glint. At that moment, the life form was truly climbing the walls of the sacred volcano. The claws beneath its abdomen dug into the walls of the sacred volcano and punctured holes one after another. On the back of the life form was a gigantic pair of wings that were scarlet like smoke. Burning lava dripped from the life form but did not injure it at all. What was even more frightening was that the aura released by the living being caused the 3 princes of the Golden Crow race to feel shudders. This was a bloodline suppression. Even the Golden Crow race had to bow down in the face of this living being. This? What's that? Everyone was stunned on the spot with shocked expressions. It's... Mighty figure Heavenly Phoenix extended his single arm as though he recalled something. His eyes were filled with fear and his lips trembled, unable to speak anymore. All of a sudden, could it be? The Golden Crow's second prince's heart skipped a beat as a possibility crossed his mind. Immediately after, blood drained from the faces of the Golden Crow third and fourth princes and their bodies trembled slightly. Dragon Phoenix? The Golden Crow fourth prince attempted to speak. The moment those words were said, the weather changed and the entire world seemed to tremble in fear. One of the 3 primordial taboos, the Dragon Phoenix, was born. Chapter 1403, Taboo Power. Chapter 1403, Taboo Power. The taboo race was the strongest of the primordial era. Even though the Golden Crow race was one of the primordial 9 races, in the depths of its memories and bloodline, it still possessed an innate fear towards the taboo race. Su Zimo glared at the Golden Crow third prince and the others with a cold gaze. The dragon true body had already become a thing of the past. Right now, his body was the true body of a dragon phoenix. Su Zimo had just transformed into a dragon phoenix as well and was not used to this body yet. Therefore, as he crawled out of the sacred volcano, he sensed the difference of the dragon phoenix body. It had to be said that Su Zimo could feel a tremendous amount of power coming from head to toe. Even every single muscle and fingernail seemed to be able to release a terrifying lethality. Be careful, everyone. The Golden Crow second prince was the first to react. With a deep shout, he swiped his storage bag and took out a golden badge, waving his hand to throw it over. The golden badge transformed into a golden streak of light that arrived in the firmaments and exploded, transforming into the shape of a 3D golden crow. That was the Golden Crow badge of the Golden Crow race. It would not be released unless it was absolutely necessary. Furthermore, the Golden Crow badge was the badge of the Golden Crow second prince. It was clear how serious this matter was. Don't panic. The Golden Crow second prince said in a deep voice, even if Desolate Marshal transforms into a dragon phoenix, he has only just entered the conjoint body realm. How strong can he be? All we have to do is delay for a moment, and when the experts of the Golden Crow race arrive, Desolate Marshal will definitely die. That's right. The Golden Crow fourth prince nodded as well. Taboos are not invincible either. Everyone, let's join forces and kill this taboo, while its cultivation realm is unstable to eat its flesh and drink its blood. The body of a taboo is a treasure in itself. That statement caused the eyes of Mystic Frost and the 2 conjoint body mighty figures of Penglai Island to shine. There was nothing that moved them more than that statement. Relying on their half-martial ancestor cultivation, the Golden Crow second and fourth princes were fearless and wiped away the fear in Mystic Frost and the others' hearts with a few words. After all, this was Penglai Island, Mystic Frost's territory. There was no way a single taboo could overturn everything. Everyone's gazes turned fervent. It was even more so for mighty figure Heavenly Phoenix. It should have been mine. The fact that Desolate Marshal was able to transform into a dragon phoenix means that there's nothing wrong with my cultivation path as well. I can transform into a Fenghuang as well. That thought flashed through the mind of mighty figure Heavenly Phoenix repeatedly. However, he did not know that Su Zimo had not merely relied on 2 divine phoenix bones to transform into a dragon phoenix. He possessed the mystic classic of the 12 demon kings of the great wilderness. He comprehended divine powers. He utilized the power of the sacred volcano, and his fate was altered by Daiyu. Su Zimo only descended upon the world as a dragon phoenix through various opportunities. Even if mighty figure Heavenly Phoenix obtained 2 divine phoenix bones and leaped into the sacred volcano, it would be difficult for him to transform into a Feng Huang. Most likely, he would have been burned into ashes. Among everyone, only the Golden Crow Third Prince was comparatively calmer. He had personally witnessed how the Dragon True Body killed everyone in the Battle of Heaven and Earth Valley, as well as the terrifying combat strength it possessed. Now that the Dragon True Body had transformed into a Dragon Phoenix, even half-martial ancestors won't be his match. Everyone, don't hold back. Kill. The Golden Crow Second Prince hollered and reverted to his true form right away. Roaring into the skies, he reached out with his third leg that was blazing with raging flames and grabbed towards Su Zimo. Similarly, the Golden Crow Fourth Prince released the strongest attack of the Golden Crow race. What burst forth from the third leg of the 2 Golden Crow Princes was not only their bloodline and dermic powers, but also a trace of divine powers. At the same time, Mystic Frost and Mighty Figure Heavenly Phoenix attacked. The 2 conjoint body mighty figures of Penglai Island had already attacked. After a moment of hesitation, the Golden Crow Third Prince released a secret skill of the Golden Crow race and descended. Instantly, everyone's attacks rained down like a violent storm. At that moment, Su Zimo had just crawled out of the mouth of the sacred volcano and looked at the dermic weapons and secret skills in midair with a calm expression. He extended his Dragon Phoenix claw slowly. Swoosh! A thought flashed through his mind. Suddenly, a terrifying scarlet flame rose from the Dragon Phoenix claw. Su Zimo extended his 2 Dragon Phoenix claws and grabbed the third legs of the 2 Golden Crow Princes. His remaining 3 claws released power that could tear the entire world apart as they reached for the dermic weapons and secret skills of Mighty Figure, Heavenly Phoenix, and the others. Bang! Bang! The 2 Golden Crow half-martial ancestors clashed against Su Zimo. There was no room for negotiation between the Golden Crow's legs and the Dragon Phoenix claws head-on. This was a pure contest of strength. It was a comparison between who had the sharper claws and stronger flames. After a momentary stalemate, the 2 Golden Crow half-martial ancestors shrieked. The Dragon Phoenix claws exerted strength and grabbed the third legs of the 2 Golden Crow half-martial ancestors, ripping their tendons and bones as their flesh splattered. The 2 third legs of the Golden Crows were completely crippled. Bang! 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 At the same time, the remaining attacks could not hurt Su Zimo at all and were blocked by his other Dragon Phoenix claws. In the palm of the Dragon Phoenix claw was a pair of dermic weapons. Those dermic weapons were the Destiny dermic weapons of the 2 mighty figures of Penglai Island. Roaring into the skies, Su Zimo released dermic powers from his palm and channeled a raging fire. Under the blazing fire, the pair of dermic weapons began to transform and melt. Right in front of everyone, the pair of dermic weapons were crushed into a scarlet scrap metal by Su Zimo. The power of a taboo was unstoppable. The 2 conjoint body mighty figures of Penglai Island could not help but grunt with pale expressions with their Destiny dermic weapons destroyed. The Dragon Soul Saber slashed down at his head. Su Zimo did not dodge or avoid, and his blood chi surged. The moment he released his might as a Dragon Phoenix, the Dragon Soul Saber submitted and returned to his control. Su Zimo did not touch the Dragon Soul Saber and merely moved his spirit consciousness. The Dragon Soul Saber transformed into a streak of light and arrived above the heads of the 2 mighty figures of Penglai Island in the blink of an eye. It slashed down with the momentum of sea calming. The 2 conjoint body mighty figures could no longer control their bodies and could not move at all. The speed of the Dragon Soul Saber was not fast. However, the 2 of them could only watch helplessly as the Dragon Soul Saber slashed down slowly, splitting their heads into 2. Their essence spirits could not escape at all. 2 conjoint body mighty figures died on the spot. Retreat. Enduring the immense pain, the Golden Crow Second Prince hollered and the golden wings behind him flapped, turning into a golden beam of light that fled towards the Golden Crow habitat. Without his reminder, the Golden Crow third and fourth princes moved as well. Mighty figure Mystic Frost fled towards the inner island. Mighty figure Heavenly Phoenix fled out of the island. The Golden Crow race was ranked at the top of the primordial 9 races in terms of movement techniques and were comparable to the Rakshasa race. The Golden Crow's second prince believed that while they might not be able to match Suzumo in terms of combat strength as a half-martial ancestor, if he were to escape with all his might, Suzumo would definitely not be able to catch up to him. Under normal circumstances, he was not wrong. Even if the dragon true body entered the conjoint body realm, he might not be able to catch up to their speed. However, at that moment, Suzumo was a taboo dragon phoenix. The dragon phoenix had a pair of gigantic wings as well. Chapter 1404, Flames of the Dragon Phoenix. Chapter 1404, Flames of the Dragon Phoenix. Suzumo had just transformed into a dragon phoenix and was not completely familiar with the power of his body. Although he had a pair of gigantic wings behind his back, he had never used them when he fought with everyone earlier on. At that moment, when he saw the 3 princes of the Golden Crow race flee into the distance along with mighty figure Heavenly Phoenix, Mystic Frost, and the others, Suzumo was anxious and channeled his bloodline, spreading the wings on his back. Swoosh! His wings burned with raging flames. Every single feather was scarlet and crystalline, shimmering with divine light without any impurities. Suzumo tried activating the pair of wings. His massive wings flapped and a powerful burst forth. Turning into a scarlet beam of light, Suzumo chased after the 3 princes of the Golden Crow race. He had to kill the 3 princes of the Golden Crow race as soon as possible. When the Golden Crow second prince released the Golden Crow badge earlier on, Suzumo noticed it as well. It wouldn't be long before the Golden Crow army and even the experts of the Golden Crow race arrived. It would be fine if they were just half-martial ancestors. However, if a patriarch of the Golden Crow race was alarmed, Suzumo would most likely die even if he had transformed into a dragon phoenix. A patriarch had already entered the Mahayana realm and comprehended true divine powers. That sort of power was way beyond the conjoint body realm. The difference in lifespan alone was clear. Conjoint body mighty figures of the human race had a lifespan of 20,000 years. After entering the Mahayana realm, one's lifespan would increase to 100,000 years. The Golden Crow 3 princes sprinted the entire way. However, within a few breaths, the 3 princes felt a scorching heat wave behind them, approaching them rapidly with a terrifying killing intent. The Golden Crow second prince turned around. That single glance almost scared him out of his wits. Not far behind the 3 of them, the terrifying figure of the dragon phoenix was closing in rapidly. Its wings flapped, and it was clearly much faster than them. Among the primordial 9 races, the Golden Crow race had the fastest movement techniques. However, it was a huge gap compared to the dragon phoenix of the taboo. Among the 3 princes, the Golden Crow third prince had the lowest cultivation realm and his movement technique was the slowest as well. Suzumo caught up to the Golden Crow third prince first. Without stopping or decreasing his speed at all, he reached out with his dragon phoenix claws and grabbed the head of the latter. The 5 dragon phoenix claws sealed all of the Golden Crow third prince's escape routes. With nowhere to run, the Golden Crow third prince's head was crushed by the dragon phoenix claws and his essence spirit was destroyed, dying on the spot. After 3 breaths, Suzumo caught up to the 2 princes once more. Flapping his wings, he released 2 scorching flame barriers that blocked their path forward. Desolate Marshal, this is Penglai Island. When he saw that he could not escape, the Golden Crow second prince could not help but turn around and shout, "I've already released my Golden Crow badge. Before long, a patriarch of my Golden Crow race will descend. If you dare to hurt me, you won't be able to leave Penglai Island either." The Golden Crow fourth prince shouted in a fierce manner as well, "Desolate Marshal, if you leave now, you might still have a chance to escape. If you linger here, the only thing awaiting you is death." The two princes were extremely smart. If Suzumo could be scared off by their words, that would be for the best. Even if they failed, they would definitely be able to intimidate him and buy time. Unfortunately, their opponent was Suzumo, who was decisive to kill. "How dare you threaten me? I'll kill you guys." Suzumo's voice was cold, and he had no qualms at all. He was irreconcilable with the Golden Crow race a long time ago, notwithstanding the fact that many Golden Crows died in his hands in the Battle of Heaven and Earth Valley. The Golden Crow race would not let him live with his status as a taboo dragon phoenix. Suzumo swooped down, and two blinding beams of flames burst forth from his eyes. After entering the conjoint body realm and transforming into a dragon phoenix, the might of Illumination Eye became even more terrifying. The two half-martial ancestors tried their best to dodge, but their bodies were still struck by Illumination Eye. The wounds turned into ashes instantly. Suzumo swooped down and extended his sharp dragon phoenix claws to grab the Golden Crow second prince. At the same time, he opened his mouth and bit towards the Golden Crow fourth prince on the other side. He used his fangs and claws completely. The two princes fought Suzumo in close combat. In just 2 to 3 breaths, the Golden Crow second prince's body was crushed by the dragon phoenix claws, and his essence spirit was burned to ashes by the flames on the dragon phoenix's body. On the other side, the dragon phoenix bit the Golden Crow fourth prince's neck and snapped it. With a few consecutive bites, Suzumo crushed the Golden Crow fourth prince's head and devoured the latter's essence spirit and blood. After killing the 3 princes, Suzumo turned around and looked at Mystic Frost, who was escaping to the inner island. The young master of Penglai Island, Mystic Frost, played an important role in his trip here. This man must not survive either. Suzumo flapped his wings and flames surged into the skies. Everywhere they passed, the white clouds in the firmaments were burned into a fiery red. No matter how fast Mystic Frost was, he could not compare to the Golden Crow race. Even after Suzumo killed the 3 princes and turned to chase after him, he had only just ran down the sacred volcano and was at the foot of the volcano. Cultivators of Penglai Island, listen up. An enemy has invaded. Hurry and come save me. Mystic Frost could not care less about his dignity and howled hysterically. That roar alarmed many experts on the island. Figures rushed into the skies one after another. Who is that? How dare you attempt to kill someone of Penglai Island? This? Heavens, what is that? The dozens of figures that arrived right away were all conjoint body mighty figures of Penglai Island. Mystic Frost did not show any joy at the sight of the conjoint body mighty figures. Instead, he turned even more anxious and hollered, hurry back and invite the patriarch out of seclusion." Right then, Suzumo stood in midair with his wings flapping. Facing the many conjoint body mighty figures not far away, he suddenly opened his mouth. Swoosh! An incomparably scorching scarlet flame burst forth from Suzumo's mouth that contained an extremely terrifying power, as though it could incinerate everything in the world into ashes. Even the void cracked under the burning of the flames. Terrifying flames rained down and engulfed the mighty figures of Penglai Island instantly. Even Mystic Frost was not spared. This was the innate divine power that Suzumo comprehended after entering the conjoint body realm and transforming into a dragon phoenix. It was the innate divine power of a dragon phoenix. It was the divine phoenix flame. Ah! 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 A series of tragic cries sounded from the crowd. Even conjoint body mighty figures could not break free from the sea of flames released by the dragon phoenix. In just a dozen breaths, many mighty figures of Penglai Island were burned to ashes without a corpse remaining. Chapter 1405, Extreme Speed. Chapter 1405, Extreme Speed. Suzumo released the dragon phoenix flame and incinerated all the conjoint body mighty figures of Penglai Island who were in his way into ashes. Mystic Frost's pupils constricted at the sight of that. Swash! Suzumo's figure flashed, and a scarlet beam of light approached. Against the terrifying might of the dragon phoenix, Mystic Frost no longer had any thoughts of defending. His head was punctured by Su Zimo's dragon phoenix claws, and his essence spirit was destroyed. The young master of Penglai Island was dead. After killing everyone, Su Zimo swept his gaze across the foot of the mountain. Not far away, there were even some corpses of cultivators. They were Jing Ming, Jing Shang, and the others who had followed them here. Those people were initially subservient to mighty figure Heavenly Phoenix. However, in order to not expose what happened today, mighty figure Heavenly Phoenix killed those cultivators of Divine Phoenix Island first. Su Zimo spread his wings and flew back to the peak of the sacred volcano. At that moment, there was no longer a need for him to conceal his tracks. Given the massive commotion on the sacred volcano, many Penglai Island cultivators had already seen his true form. There was no way he could kill all of them. At that moment, there were still no half-martial ancestors. However, if he waited till half-martial ancestors or patriarchs of Penglai Island and the Golden Crow race arrived, he would most likely be doomed. He had to leave the island as soon as possible. The reason why Su Zimo returned to the peak of the sacred volcano was because he was worried about Imo Ing. Since Imo Ing had followed him here, he had to take her back alive. Young master? When she saw Su Zimo in that state, Imo Ing was still skeptical and shouted in an experimenting manner. "It's me," Su Zimo said in a deep voice. "We can't linger here. Leave with me." Imo Ing was severely injured, and Su Zimo tossed her onto his back. Flapping his wings, he soared into the skies and sped into the distance with a streak of flames. At the same time, Su Zimo released his massive spirit consciousness and searched the surface of the sea. After entering the conjoint body realm, Su Zimo's spirit consciousness expanded to a shocking range. Before long, he caught sight of a figure scurrying to escape. Mighty figure Heavenly Phoenix. Su Zimo's expression was as cold as ever. Mighty figure Heavenly Phoenix set a trap to kill him. This was somebody he had to kill. The speed of the Dragon Phoenix was way too fast. Even half-martial ancestors of the Golden Crow race could not match Su Zimo in terms of movement speed, let alone mighty figure Heavenly Phoenix who was at the conjoint body realm. In just a dozen breaths, a large scarlet cloud shrouded the head of mighty figure Heavenly Phoenix. Sensing danger, mighty figure Heavenly Phoenix looked up instinctively and saw Su Zimo flapping his wings through the clouds. Although Su Zimo's body was blazing with raging flames, his gaze was cold as ice. Mighty figure Heavenly Phoenix felt his scalp tingle. When he met with Su Zimo's gaze, his legs went limp. Although he possessed the bloodline of the Divine Phoenix, he was still inferior to the Dragon Phoenix. "Heavenly Phoenix, you can't escape." Su Zimo's voice sounded slowly with a chilling intent. "Ha ha ha ha." When mighty figure Heavenly Phoenix saw that he could not escape, he gave up and paused before rearing his head in laughter. "It's just because I'm unlucky. If I was the one who obtained the Divine Phoenix bones this time round, I would have had a chance of transforming into a Fenghuang. At that time, you would be the one escaping for your life, desolate marshal." "Kill." Mighty figure Heavenly Phoenix refused to surrender and roared into the skies. His essence spirit, blood chi, and dermic powers were already channeled to their limits as he charged towards Su Zimo. Su Zimo had a fearless expression as he swooped down like a gigantic fireball. Boom! There was a deafening sound. Flames splattered everywhere. After a brief pause, mighty figure Heavenly Phoenix was devoured by the gigantic fireball and his essence spirit was destroyed. Su Zimo's figure reappeared. After calming down, he continued speeding towards Divine Phoenix Island. Before long, he felt a sense of trepidation. It was as though he was targeted by an extremely terrifying existence and could face a calamity at any moment. He had entered the conjoint body realm and had the potential to grow into a dragon phoenix with shocking combat strength. There were not many people in Tianhuang mainland who could threaten him anymore. There was only a single possibility for him to sense danger. A Mahayana patriarch. However, he did not know if it was a patriarch of Penglai Island or the Golden Crow race. All of a sudden, a warning flashed in Su Zimo's mind. He did not stop and looked up instinctively. The skies darkened. Above his head, A gigantic black cloud shrouded and rumbled like ink. Gradually, the gigantic cloud began to spin, forming a massive vortex. A strange power emanated from the center of the vortex. Suzumo glared at the center of the vortex with a grim expression. All of a sudden, a divine light burst forth from the center of the vortex. Thankfully, the illumination stone was fused into Suzumo's eyes. Otherwise, that divine light would have blinded him. Pissed, Suzumo could not help but gasp when he saw the center of the vortex clearly. In the middle of the black cloud vortex was a gigantic eye. At that moment, the eye was glaring at Suzumo with a cold, killing intent, as though it could detect him no matter where he escaped to. Suzumo went on a massacre on Penglai Island and killed the young master of Penglai Island along with many conjoint body mighty figures. In the end, a Mahayana patriarch was alerted. This should be a patriarch of Penglai Island. If it was a patriarch of the Golden Crow race, the aura given off should be different from this. Suddenly, the eye blinked. An extremely terrifying power descended, and the flames on Suzumo's body were almost extinguished. His bones creaked as though they were about to fall apart. That was the power of a Mahayana patriarch. Even without the appearance of the patriarch's true body, a single eye he revealed could release the power to kill a conjoint body realm dragon phoenix. Against that immense pressure, Suzumo's speed decreased significantly, and it was even impossible for him to escape. Narrowing his gaze, Suzumo channeled his essence spirit and conjured a dermic art with a single thought. All of a sudden, an even larger pair of wings grew from his scarlet wings. This pair of wings were golden in color and shone with a resplendent glow. They were magnificent without any flaws. Even the wings of the Golden Crow race pale in comparison to this pair of wings. Suzumo gave a long yell. The pair of golden wings flapped. There was a hint of divine powers. Suzumo's figure transformed into a golden streak of light and vanished from the spot instantly. In fact, he escaped from the gigantic eye's line of sight and fled into the distance. That speed was way too fast. A look of shock flashed through the gigantic eye, as though it was in disbelief. This was another innate divine power that Suzumo had comprehended after entering the conjoint body realm. It was also an innate divine power of the mystic classic of the 12 demon kings of the great wilderness. It was a divine power of the golden rock, extreme speed. Those golden wings were the wings of the golden rock. Chapter 1406, Golden Crow Patriarch. Chapter 1406, Golden Crow Patriarch. After entering the Dharma characteristic realm, 4 balls of light appeared in Suzumo's consciousness. The first ball of light contained a divine power, the spirit turtle shield of the sea calming turtle. It was the most offensive and managed to defend against a half-martial ancestor when Suzumo was at the Dharma characteristic realm. At the foot of the sacred volcano, when Suzumo entered the conjoint body realm, the second ball of light in his mind shattered and a golden rock appeared, streaking through the skies above his consciousness in a perfect pattern. This was the second of the 4 great divine powers of the mystic classic of the 12 demon kings of the great wilderness, extreme speed. This divine power came from the Golden Rock King. Among the demons, the speed of the Golden Rock was the fastest. Once released, a pair of golden wings would grow on Suzumo's back. He spread his wings and flew thousands of kilometers instantly. Damn it! The gigantic eye in the firmaments shone with rage, and its voice was like thunder, reverberating through the entire sea and silencing it. The black clouds rumbled and a figure was formed. It was an old man in black robes. His beard was grayish-white and his eyes were unusually large with slight protrusions. He looked extremely terrifying. It was Patriarch Black Cloud of Penglai Island. Patriarch Black Cloud's eyes darted around to search for Suzumo. However, Suzumo had already fled thousands of kilometers away when he released his extreme speed divine power and was beyond Patriarch Black Cloud's vision. I don't believe that you can escape from my grasp when the East Sea is millions of kilometers away from the South Sea. Patriarch Black Cloud harumphed coldly, and his glabella shone as he channeled his massive spirit consciousness above the East Sea. The range of a Mahayana Patriarch's spirit consciousness was at least 50,000 kilometers. Within 50,000 kilometers, every single action of any living being could not escape the senses of a Mahayana Patriarch. Such an ability was already rather terrifying. Patriarch Black Cloud's spirit consciousness descended, and before long, he discovered a speeding golden light in the sea 5,000 kilometers away. It was Su Zimo. In that short period of time, Su Zimo had already escaped more than 25,000 kilometers. "Desolate Marshal, you can't escape," Patriarch Black Cloud murmured softly. However, that voice crossed thousands of kilometers and entered Su Zimo's ears clearly, as though Patriarch Black Cloud was whispering to him. Su Zimo's heart skipped a beat. Extreme speed alone was not enough. The dragon phoenix wings on Su Zimo's back flapped at the same time. Initially, Su Zimo's figure was merely a streak of golden light. But now, there was a scarlet shade on that golden light. Su Zimo's speed rose once more. As Patriarch Black Cloud sped with all his might, he suddenly realized that Su Zimo's speed had increased significantly once more. The distance between them was getting wider. Before long, Su Zimo's figure vanished from the range of his spirit consciousness completely. This meant that a conjoint body-mighty figure had escaped from his pursuit. Patriarch Black Cloud stopped in his tracks with a terrible expression. Given Desolate Marshal's speed, he would not be able to catch up even if he continued chasing, and it would be futile. "I managed to let a conjoint body-mighty figure escape." Patriarch Black Cloud was secretly frustrated. Right then, his expression changed. As though he sensed something, he looked up instinctively with a hint of fear in his eyes. Thereafter, he sneered, "Desolate Marshal, you can't escape after all." On the surface of the sea, Su Zimo sprinted the entire way without daring to relax. He had already left the Patriarch with the gigantic eye far behind. However, for some reason, the sense of danger in his heart did not vanish. Before long, a warning flashed in Su Zimo's mind. A terrifying might descended. That pressure was even stronger than the Patriarch with the gigantic eye earlier on. Another Patriarch had appeared. Su Zimo was secretly shocked. What worried him was that although he had already released his extreme speed divine power and dragon phoenix wings, this Mahayana Patriarch still caught up to him. This meant that the Patriarch was even faster than him. If he was not wrong, the pursuer should be a Patriarch of the Golden Crow race. Only the Golden Crow race could possess such speed. Immediately after, a scorching aura descended from the skies and enveloped Su Zimo. Before it arrived, cracks were already formed in the surrounding space. Su Zimo did not look up. He no longer had the mind or energy to do so. All he could do was activate his bloodline wildly and extreme speed to flap his dragon phoenix wings to dodge to the side. Shing! The moment Su Zimo dodged, a gigantic golden claw descended beside him. The claw was sharp and shone with a cold glint as it crushed the void. Su Zimo did not dare to linger and continued escaping. On his back, Imoing looked up with widened eyes. In the skies above the firmaments, a gigantic figure could vaguely be seen flapping its wings and speeding forward with a faint golden glow on its body. All of a sudden, the clouds dispersed and a gigantic golden claw descended, grabbing towards their location at an astonishing speed. Although Imoing could clearly see it, she could not react to it at all. Su Zimo did not look over. However, as though he had sensed danger beforehand, he twisted his body and dodged to the other side. Shing! The gigantic claw brushed past Su Zimo's dragon phoenix body by a hair's breadth. The gigantic claw retracted into the clouds and vanished. It was only then that Imoing managed to even react. All of a sudden, the gigantic claw extended once more and grabbed towards Su Zimo at an even faster speed. Su Zimo dodged once more. This time round, he was a tad too slow and was scratched by the fingertips of the gigantic claw. Instantly, a wound dozens of feet long appeared on his wings with fresh blood dripping. dozens of scarlet feathers fell off and fell into the East Sea. Suzimo did not say anything and continued flapping his wings. "Young master, abandon me and escape by yourself." When Imoing saw that, she was anxious and could not help but say. Suzimo remained silent and fled with all his might. "Fufu." A sneer filled with mockery sounded from the firmaments. The Golden Crow Patriarch in the clouds seemed to be playing as he reached out time and again to grab Suzimo. More wounds appeared on Suzimo's body. Even with the powerful regeneration capabilities of a dragon phoenix, he could not recover from the injuries and the sustained escape. Suzimo's stamina was getting weaker. In fact, he felt waves of dizziness and his vision blurred. All of a sudden, right in front of him, a small boat floated horizontally across the horizon amidst the clouds. Compared to the massive ocean, the small boat was like a drop of seawater and could not even compare to a single scale on Suzimo's body. However, Suzimo was invigorated when he caught sight of the small boat. On the small boat laid a figure with a lazy posture. He wore a green woven rush raincoat and a green straw hat with a fishnet scattered beside his feet. The figure allowed the small boat to drift aimlessly in the seawater and was totally not bothered, looking extremely relaxed. Chapter 1407, Tribulation Transcendence Immortals. Chapter 1407, Tribulation Transcendence Immortals. Why is there a fisherman here? Imoing sighed softly. In her opinion, even Dharma-characteristic Tao Lords would be shredded into pieces against the might of a Mahayana patriarch, let alone a fisherman. Right then, on the small boat, the fisherman removed the green straw hat on his face, revealing an ordinary face with an unshaved beard. The Golden Crow Patriarch in the clouds attacked once more. A gigantic golden claw blazing with flames descended and grabbed towards Suzimo. The fisherman's eyes were clear as he looked at the firmaments. Suddenly, he raised his hand with a fake smile. The green straw hat flew from his hands and transformed into a green beam of light. Instantly, it arrived at the gigantic golden claw and slashed forward. Scarlet blood gushed out and scattered down. Mo Ying's pupils constricted. She could clearly see that the destructive golden claw in midair was severed by the unassuming green straw hat. Even though it was severed, the gigantic claw burned with flames as it fell into the ocean. The ocean blazed with raging flames that lasted for a long time. Groar! A tragic cry sounded from the firmaments. It was a piercing screech, and Imoing clutched her ears with a pained expression. Thankfully, the sound disappeared as quickly as it appeared. The Mahayana patriarch of the Golden Crow race had escaped. Mo Ying's eyes widened, and she could not snap out of her stupor for a moment. She felt as though she was dreaming. However, the sense of danger that surrounded her initially had indeed vanished. They were saved. She and the young master managed to survive the pursuit of the Golden Crow Patriarch. Who was this fisherman? How terrifying was the cultivation realm of this fisherman to be able to slice off a claw of the Golden Crow Patriarch with such ease. Right then, Suzimo had already reverted into his human form from his true form, landing on the fisherman's small boat with Mo Ying. He was covered in injuries and was almost completely exhausted to be able to escape here. When he descended, he could not control his body. He practically smashed onto the small boat. Under normal circumstances, given Suzimo's physique, he should be able to puncture even a cultivator's spirit vessel with his fall, let alone a small boat. However, the small boat did not budge at all despite Suzimo smashing onto it. In fact, there were no ripples on the surface of the water beneath the small boat at all. "Thank you, Senior," Suzimo said hurriedly and struggled to stand up. The fisherman smiled gently and waved his hand. A mysterious power enveloped Suzimo, and the pain on his body lessened significantly. The wounds on Suzimo's body were left behind by the gigantic claws of the Golden Crow Patriarch. Not only were the wounds charred black, there were even remnant divine powers. Even with the bloodline of the Dragon Phoenix, it would take an extremely long time for them to recover. However, With a wave of his hand, the fisherman erased the remaining divine powers from Su Zimo's wounds. The blood of the dragon phoenix surged and his wounds healed at a visible speed. In the blink of an eye, Su Zimo's injuries healed by more than half. "Lad, we meet again." The fisherman smiled at Su Zimo. Mo Ying's heart skipped a beat and she could not help but ask, "You know this senior, young master?" "We've met once." Su Zimo nodded. The fisherman was the person who had guided Su Zimo's saber technique and was known as the Hermit. Back at the seaside, this senior's whereabouts were mysterious and unfathomable. Su Zimo had once deduced that Hermit was definitely a peerless expert. However, he had not expected that Hermit's combat strength would be so terrifying that even a Golden Crow patriarch had his legs severed by a single move and was forced to retreat. As one of the primordial 9 races, a patriarch expert of the Golden Crow race was comparable to the emperors of the human race. Back then, in his rage, the red-headed ghost attacked and destroyed 2 supersects of the Buddhist monasteries. Furthermore, he exhausted an emperor of the Buddhist monasteries to the point of death. The terrifying combat strength of a patriarch of the primordial races was clear. If he could defeat a patriarch of the Golden Crow race with ease, could it be? A thought flashed through Su Zimo's mind, and he could not help but jump in shock. He was truly curious and could not help but ask, "Senior, are you an expert at the Tribulation Transcendence realm?" After the Conjoint Body realm was the Mahayana realm. After the Mahayana realm came the Tribulation Transcendence realm. Conjoint Body experts were referred to as mighty figures. Mahayana realm experts were referred to as patriarchs. Su Zimo truly did not know what titles Tribulation Transcendence experts had. Even Mo Ying's ears and eyes were widened with curiosity as she waited for the fisherman's reply. Upon hearing Su Zimo's question, Hermit broke out into a chuckle and shook his head. "How would you have the chance to meet an expert at the Tribulation Transcendence realm?" Hermit laughed. "Huh, what do you mean?" Su Zimo was momentarily stunned. Hermit explained, "Actually, strictly speaking, Tribulation Transcendence isn't a realm. After the Mahayana realm, the cultivator's cultivation will continue to advance. When they cultivate to the perfected Mahayana realm, they will be able to sense the heavenly tribulation. If they can survive the heavenly tribulation, they will leave Tianhuang mainland and ascend to the upper world. There are extremely few people who can cultivate to the point of Tribulation Transcendence. The process of Tribulation Transcendence is even more treacherous where only 1 in 10 will get to survive. For those that fail, their souls will dissipate, and they will not reincarnate. However, those that succeed will ascend to the upper world, and you will naturally not see them." Su Zimo's eyes revealed a look of realization. It was no wonder why he had never heard of experts at the Tribulation Transcendence realm. So, if they could survive the heavenly tribulation, they would ascend to the upper world. At the mention of the upper world, Su Zimo's heart was suddenly filled with anticipation. He suddenly felt that he was getting closer to Daiyu. Initially, the distance between the two of them was still out of reach. However, up till this point of his cultivation, he had already begun to come into contact with some things about the upper world. Hermit continued, "Those in the Mahayana realm are referred to as patriarchs. Only those that achieve the Tribulation Transcendence can be referred to as immortals." Su Zimo's heart stirred. Back then, Daiyu once told him something similar. There were no immortals on Tianhuang mainland. Su Zimo thought for a moment and asked, "Senior, you're an emperor?" Hermit smiled gently and did not deny. Su Zimo asked again, "What's the realm of an emperor?" Hermit replied, "Emperors are actually still at the Mahayana realm. However, there are also differences in strength between Mahayana patriarchs. Emperors are the strongest type of patriarchs. Once you enter the ancestor realm, you will naturally understand the difference between emperors and ordinary patriarchs." Hermit continued, "Not only patriarchs, even emperors varied in strength. Back in the primordial era, the human race rose with multiple emperors in a bedazzling manner. However, not many ancient human race emperors could fight against the patriarchs of the primordial 9 races. Even fewer could defeat the emperors of the primordial 9 races. Su Zimo nodded. Right now, the emperors he knew that could fight against the emperors of the primordial races were the Human Emperor, Fiend Emperor Hatred, Buddha Emperor, and Thunder Emperor. You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.